hospital, and pharmacy may already be part of our large Humana networks. So call the number on your screen now to speak with a licensed Humana sales agent. Wouldn't you love benefits like $1,200 a year to help pay for eligible groceries, utilities, rent, and over-the-counter items? So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, call the number on your screen now and speak with a licensed Humana sales agent. If you're eligible, they can even help enroll you over the phone in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan. So call now. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
Welcome back to First Edition. Before we go, some exciting news. President Trump giving Newsmax a shout out, reposting us on Truth Social.
This is a great shout out because he's highlighting a Newsmax article talking about new steps, as you can see it, to tackle Washington crime and homelessness. A lot of news outlets are unwilling to report the fact that D.C. has had a tremendous crime problem. Some are maybe straying off script, as we did see with that one ABC anchor. I'm forgetting her name at this moment, but people are, President Trump asked the press and said to them, how do you feel when you're living in D.C., walking down the streets? And it's hard for them to deny the fact that they don't feel safe. But President Trump giving us a shout out, which is great. He watches our show, as we all know, so it's good to see him highlighting us.
That's very exciting that he knows he watches the network, and he also is a frequent guest, right?
Right, exactly.
Greg Kelly, Rob Finnerty, I think, most recently had the sit down, I think, on the 200 days.
Yes, that was an important
very exciting. So it's good to know that you viewers out there, you're with President Trump. How better, you can't get better than that.
You're in good company, but it's also a point, that is needed to be made, that when you're reporting the truth, President Trump pays attention, and he has had such a battle with the mainstream media, with even the data. We can't get that right with the BLS. We were talking about that earlier, Tom. Garbage in, garbage out. I know you're a data, driven person, and it's so important to get the numbers correct, because if you don't, there are ramifications, and that's why President Trump, he's highlighting us that we're reporting the facts about what's occurring in D.C., because people, you can't deny it if you're seeing it for your own eyes.
And remember, the Democrat politicians and the media, they operate in a pack. So President Trump says we're going to do something about crime. They say 30% crime down, and everybody says it right down the block, right down the line, without even looking at the data. Where's it coming from? 30% from what? Is it true? Is it right? We don't know. That's why he watches Newsmax, because we get the truth out when we have to.
That's right.
Which is every day.
That'll do it for us this Tuesday morning.
We'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Chris Salcedo Show is next.
Stay with us.
You're watching theDove TV, encouraging and informative for Chico and the North State. Seen on KKRM 11, Channel 21, and these Dove TV affiliates.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Look what returned.
Found my way home.
Yeah, the wandering boy. He's not quite a prodigal.
No.
But he's there, close.
Yeah, I'm home and they let me back in.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
That's it.
Yeah, and so anyway, good morning to you. Jerry's back, and that's all that counts. Happy Tuesday to you. Another hot one today. Mm-hmm. Borderline hot tomorrow, and then it starts to back down. So we had a couple of really scorchers. You know?
Oh, boy. Have you ever been on a flight that was so cold that when you get off and it's like 100 degrees outside, you go, oh, this feels good.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. What is that? Huh?
So you were on that flight.
I was on. It was so cold. I touched Pam. She goes, oh, keep your fingers to yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, but it is hot. It's going to be, again, another hot day, but then it's going to start to taper down and feel pretty good.
Yeah, toward the end of the week. Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. Here we are all the way into August 12th.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
No.
Is it the 12th or 13th?
Yeah, what is it?
I forget.
It is the 12th.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad we cleared that
Well,
up.
I lost a day last week, and I'm still trying to find it.
I know, we both did. Yes.
Anyway, good morning to you. A lot in the news. Wait till you hear some of the stories today. Man, I just wait 20 minutes and then it's a whole nother set of stories. But pretty interesting stuff. We'll tell you about that coming up in just a few moments. Anything special today?
Well, do you have any vinyl records still?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you have something you can play them with? Like a turntable?
No, I don't. You know, it's interesting because I have some of the old Dove vinyl records.
Oh, do you really?
Oh, yeah, and some of the stuff goes back 30 years.
Oh, really?
You know? I mean, I got people on album covers that if they saw them today, they would grab them and burn them. You know, right when contemporary Christian music started to come out.
Yeah.
And the contemporary Christian artists were trying to find the place between being churchy and being cool.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So part of them were kind of cool, some of them were kind of churchy. You know. So anyway.
Yeah, some of them just became cool. And that was it.
I'm going to guess we have maybe 500 albums stacked up. Yeah.
Well, you know, a lot of people like that analog sound. They like that. It does have a different sound than the crisp digital sound that we are kind of used to these days. But it is National Vinyl Record Day, encouraging us to listen to all kinds of music on vinyl records. Now, some may not realize that depending on the speed at which the sound was recorded, the vinyl record will need to be played at the corresponding speed on the record player. This referred to as rotational speed, revolutions per minute, RPMs, and the more popular vinyls were 45s, 33 and a third, and 78s.
Yes.
78 revolutions per minute. How about that? Okay. And I have a little bit more on, because there, you know, people kind of go crazy on vinyl these days.
Well, you know, if you didn't know, weren't raised with them.
Right.
And you put a vinyl record on a turntable and you give it to somebody, they have a tendency to take the needle and put it in the middle, thinking it's going to work its way out.
Oh, that's interesting.
I remember putting them on the outside and then backspinning it so that when you hit the button on the air, they started.
I remember hearing them walk. Yes, I've heard. And in fact, I've seen that done on videos happen, but that was before my era. And that's partially because we'll define this. It's National Middle Child Day.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, okay, now what qualifies that? Pam and I have had this conversation because she's read firstborn.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and what an interesting thing.
Oh,
I'm secondborn, but I'm one of 5 kids. So, second, my sister right behind me is actually the middle child.
Okay.
What do I qualify as?
Okay, good question, because Dr. Kevin Lehman, who wrote the birth order book, he absolutely was convinced that I was a firstborn.
Really? Okay.
So I have an older brother and sister and a younger brother and sister. So let me ask you this: the distance between the time between you and your older brother.
3 years both ways. 3 years between me and my brother, and 3 years between me and my sister.
Okay. You're confused.
Well, that's apparent. Yes.
Your mom's listening, right?
Yes.
So,
amen.
No, if I understand it correctly, and so am I. It's 3, 3, and 3. Okay. No, it's my older brother's, my sister, then 3 years, then my brother, then 3 years, then me, and then it's 5 years until the next one. So anyway, you have a little jalapeno in you.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, let me ask you this: did you and your brother spend a lot of time together, or did your brother move out quickly?
No, we did spend a lot of time together.
Okay.
And,
Okay. And what about your sister?
Yeah, because we were close enough. And,
so all of you were together?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you probably would qualify for a middle. So, and I can tell just by the way you act, they have the jalapeno that you're right and everybody else is wrong, but at the same time you have a heart, you want to get along.
Oh, you know, that's interesting. And I was wondering, do these dynamics change as we get older? Because I've noticed.
No.
Huh? Okay.
Now, Peggy and I are both middles. Now, she's one of 6. I'm one of 5. Okay, so, but so often first and last get together, and that's a white cord and a black one.
Let me ask you this:
Ask your son-in-law.
You've done your fair share of premarital counseling.
Oh gosh, I don't.
Do you ever take this into account as you're sitting down with the prospective couple in front of you?
Well, in years gone by, listen, I didn't have the experience that I have now, or some of the. And you learn as you go along. But Only 2 couples did I advise not to get married.
Really?
Yeah.
And did they listen to you?
No.
Did they stay together?
Well, it was, I'll say this respectfully.
Okay.
I didn't know if it was love or lust.
Oh, well, that can come into play.
Okay, and if it's the other, it's so blinding. You might as well go talk to a fence post. Because you're not going to get anywhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So you kind of have to work your way through that. But one couple they weren't even close, and they couldn't even get along.
Oh no.
They were committed to marriage, thinking that was going to solve the problem.
Oh yeah, no.
And the answer was no, they didn't last.
Well, there's the other thing, too, that sometimes one of the persons in a couple may look at the other and say, well, they're not perfect, but I'll change them.
Oh. Okay. So
how does that work?
it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
I will say this. I mean,
Pam said amen.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I've learned post doing that.
Okay.
Than I did know. But I will say one thing: if proper biblical premarital counseling is taking place, you talk about all the issues. I mean, every one of them.
Yeah.
And especially the ones outside of what would be obvious and do you love the Lord and all that.
Yeah.
No. You got to get down to the brass tacks.
Yeah.
And I would say that one thing you really have to work out in premarital counseling.
And that is?
How is the money going to be managed?
Perfect. And speaking of which, my daughter Jenna came into you for premarital counseling, and you gave her one big tip, one big piece of advice, and it was marry for.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I say that to all pretty young girls.
Okay.
I say marry for money, love will follow, and your daddy will be real happy.
Amen.
Well, Blake, you're doing a great job, buddy.
Yes, he is.
I'm so proud of you. No, really, it's serious stuff. And I will say this: couples that are thinking about getting married, if you are not willing to go to good biblical premarital counseling, the only thing I can say to you is good luck.
Yeah.
You got to push all the emotions aside and get down to brass tacks.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
I
I got something to eat, but you mentioned Blake, and Blake sent me a nice little text because I was watching it all the way in. If you're out on the road right now, better yet, if you're stopped somewhere, look up, way up above Mount McLaughlin right now, you can see Venus and Jupiter. They're side by side.
Boy, they look like two airplanes. Look like an airplane coming in.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah. Beautiful morning. Anyway, it's also National Julienne Fries Day. Cut into thin uniform matchsticks, julienne fries tend to be crispier and are often called shoestring fries. And the oldest known written reference to the julienne cut was way back in 1722 in France. So it is julienne. Do you want the julienne fry or what do you want?
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I like them. I like them a little. I don't like them real crispy.
Me too. They
gotta be a little soft.
Right.
Yeah.
Julienne has a tendency to get overdone very easily.
And then you think you're eating a noodle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's go back to National Vinyl Record Day for our bit of information this morning. A lot of people collect rare vinyl recordings, and the second most expensive vinyl record comes in at a value of just over $46,000. It's a rare recording, and only a couple made it out of the pressing. But the most expensive rare vinyl record on record is worth a lot more money. It's worth $790,000. And that is a copy of the Beatles album, also known as the White Album, which was recorded in 1968, worth $790,000, and here's why.
Wow.
It's very first pressing. It's the very first pressing. It's the very first album to come off the pressing system. It's marked with serial number A00000001. Really? To prove that it's the very first one. And for years, it was rumored that very first copy went to John Lennon, and it didn't. Ringo's got it. Ringo Starr's got the very first White Album, and he's holding on to a cool $790,000. I wonder if he ever plays it.
Well, I'll tell you this: if it goes to the auction, it'll be 3 times that amount.
Probably so.
Yeah.
And if he signs it someplace that's not, and even get McCartney on it.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, anyway, so enjoy your vinyl record day.
All right. Well, you used to spin them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know what? When I came into this, business, primarily we'd moved over to CDs.
Yeah.
So I felt like Wolfman Jack of the CD world.
Yeah.
Because I did. We used to have 2 CD players, and we'd play them live.
Okay.
We'd go from one deck to the other, and it was interesting.
Okay, it was, and you always wanted to spin the hits and pop the zits. Yes. And he does the weather too.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. High pressure continues to heat things up, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny with extreme heat warnings and highs in the upper 90s for Vancouver, Portland, and McMinnville, and near 101 in Wilsonville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, sunny and hot with extreme heat warnings and daytime highs near 100 in Salem and upper 90s for Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light northwest wind this afternoon. Sunny and hot again across the central Oregon high desert with a high near 100 in Prineville and mid-90s in Bend and Sun River. Continued sunny and hot in Boise, Idaho with a daytime high in the low triple digits. Patchy fog along the Oregon coast, then gradual clearing to sunny to mostly sunny skies with highs in the mid-70s for Coos Bay and upper 60s to low 70s around Port Orford, upper 50s in Brookings, and low 60s in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, sunny with extreme heat warnings for the Rogue Valley and highs near 106 in Grants Pass, 105 in Medford, and near 100 in Ashland. Sunny with highs in the mid-upper 90s in the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny and hot with daytime high temperatures near 102 in Wairika, 104 in Redding, and near 100 in Chico. Sunny but not quite as hot in Sacramento with a high near 95 and a light southwest wind. Starting off cloudy across the Bay Area, then gradual clearing, becoming sunny with highs in the low 80s for Santa Rosa and Napa and upper 60s in San Francisco with the southwest wind gusting up to 26 miles per hour and a high near 87 in San Jose. A look at our Tuesday weather from Grange Co-op.
All right, there you go. A little bit of a shot from the top of Mount Ashland this morning, and you can see that layer of heat. So just be careful out there.
All right, time for some morning encouragement with Dr. David Jeremiah.
The peace of God acts, according to Paul, as a sentinel or a soldier who walks back and forth in the front of the door of your heart to provide security. The picture here is that our hearts and our minds are always under assault. Guilt, worries, threats, confusions, uncertainties, they all threaten our peace. And Paul says that God wants to guard our hearts and minds, and he guards our hearts with his peace when we commit ourselves to him. I like that picture of my heart and God's soldier walking back and forth in front of the door to keep all the junk out that would come in and destroy my peace. He guards our hearts in a way that goes beyond what human understanding can fathom. Philippians 4:9 tells us something even better, that while we have the peace of God guarding us from the outside, we actually have the God of peace protecting us from the inside. Verse 9 says, and the God of peace will be with you. If there's anything better than the peace of God, it has to be the God of peace. Give me a choice. Do you want the peace of God or do you want the God of peace? I'll take the latter. And the Bible says that the peace of God is guarding the outside of your heart, but the God of peace is in your heart, keeping you calm in the midst of stress.
Yeah. Galatians says, let the peace of God rule your heart. Rule it. All right, let's take a look at some of the top stories. And boy, they are interesting today. Good morning to you. Well, the president is full throttle in doing something in Washington, D.C., and boy, it has sparked all kinds of stuff. The mayor doesn't like it. A lot of the Democrats don't like it. It looks like some of the citizens love it. And what's the problem? D.C. has become a pit of crime. And they've had some very bad occasions and beatings just in the last couple of weeks. And so it's one of those interesting places. It doesn't have a governor. It does have a mayor. So does the federal have authority over the top of the city? So the president is now taking it over and dispatching the National Guard. And here's what he had to say.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening. They've done it before.
Wow.
Okay, so they've had, look, the crime level in D.C. is crazy.
Yep.
And we've had people mugged actually between federal buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the D.C. Government basically does nothing about it. The Democrats are bouncing off the wall. In the meantime, as you know, Pam Bondi, the new DOJ leader, has stepped in, and here's what she had to say.
No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can. And working with the ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together. We fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make D.C. beautiful. We're going to make D.C. safe again.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, so I think what's going on here is that what's happening in blue-controlled metropolitan areas, D.C. being obviously one of them, is crime's rapid.
Absolutely.
And the last beating where you had teenage girls beating a homeless guy,
right,
and
right.
an elderly person, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
We've had pages these are the people that work on the floor, walk between buildings and be assaulted.
Yeah.
And one of them was killed.
Yeah.
And so you wait for the local government, should have been the mayor and the police, to do something, and they did nothing.
Right.
And so now they're going to be federalized. So I don't know how the chain of command goes here. The president's going to announce that, but apparently the National Guard, 800 National Guard people are being deployed. By the way, these are the ones that were standing by on January 6th and were told to stand down.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi said she didn't need them. Right.
Yeah, so... Yep. It's pretty horrific, and of course, Mayor Bowser is really bouncing off the wall, thinking, this is whatever. So I don't know. What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? And so the president, I tell you what, of course, as long as the president's going to deal with security,
yes,
he's going to win the hearts of people.
Right, and that's a great point because
the D's are going to say this is nothing more than dictatorship.
Exactly right. Yeah. Their first gut reaction is to oppose and to, maybe even set out protests and such. But what does that tell the American public, the difference between these two parties? Somebody's trying to protect you, somebody's trying to protect criminals.
Yeah, it's just gone crazy. So we'll see. I think this plays out pretty well for the president, but in the meantime, he's going to be demonized for it.
Yep.
The other story that broke yesterday, this couldn't be any more crazy than this, but a Democrat, 12-year voting Democrat within the system, became a whistleblower yesterday, and he worked with. He's an intelligence staffer who worked with the House Democrats, and he called some of the past action within some of these committees when Biden was president treasonous, and basically. He went after Adam Schiff. So he's a whistleblower that went to all the agencies and blew the whistle. Well, John Solomon. Now, John's a reporter. He's a reporter for I have to think of the company. It's a news source. Anyway, he was on Hannity last night, and he explains what this whistleblower has done and who's at the center of the attention here. Take a listen to this.
This whistleblower literally sat in a meeting, he tells the FBI, where Adam Schiff authorized the leaking of classified secrets to dirty up Donald Trump and to try to build towards either a select committee in Congress or a special prosecutor. This whistleblower was a career intelligence officer. He had worked for the House Intelligence Committee, Democrat staff for a dozen years when he came forward to the FBI. He gave 4 interviews. He gave very specific information to the FBI. and nothing happened. Why? Because the Justice Department simply decided to take a pass. How many times have we sat around in the last decade and heard, we're going to get to the bottom of that classified leak, and then a few months later, we couldn't get to the bottom of that classified leak. In the case of Adam Schiff, they got to the bottom of some classified leaks, but the Justice Department chose not to act. So tonight, past attorney generals, people like Merrick Garland and Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein, who was acting on Russiagate, they've got some serious questions answered. Did they know about this Adam Schiff stuff? Why did they allow it to be passed on? And will anything happen in the current Justice Department?
And will anything happen in the current Justice Department? That's a big question.
Well, I think it will, and if he's a whistleblower, he's under whistleblower protection. The question is, if he's already testified or given interviews to the DOJ, does he get subpoenaed to come before Congress?
Oh.
And here you go.
Yeah.
And so Adam Schiff now at the center of a treasonous act of releasing classified information for the sole purpose of damaging President Trump.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's got another problem.
Right.
Apparently he's caught clean caught. I say clean caught. He's caught with dirty hands, let me put it that way.
Oh, yeah.
With his mortgage problem.
Right.
And so he's got a headache.
Yeah, and it was long suspected, honestly, that he had leaked classified information.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we have some confirmation.
Well, let's see where this goes,
Yeah.
but this is about as messy as it gets. Well, anyway, those are some of your top stories for today, and we named curly fries. What do you call them?
Yeah, julienne. Have some julienne fries.
Leave them a little soft. Don't get them too crunchy. All right.
With a little bit of fish. So let's have fish and julienne chips.
Oh, so that's fish and chips.
Yeah, baby.
Fish and chips.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back.
This is where the healing begins. Oh, this is where the healing starts.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm Guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Hey, it's your old car here. Remember me? Remember us? You barely even turn me on anymore. It's clear you don't need me, but that's perfectly fine, my friend, because you can choose to give this old car new purpose and donate. There are incredible nonprofits out there that accept cars just like me. So call or donate online. Donating a vehicle is easy, the pickup is free, and your gift is tax deductible.
Come back, 25 past the hour. A little bit of regional news. First of all, there was a pretty good revival up at the Moda Center in Portland over the weekend. I forgot to mention this earlier, but people stood in line for hours to go in. And Pastor Brett Metter was the host church that started all this. Thousands of people attended. They prayed for Portland's soul. They prayed for their city to be restored. And this ended up being a huge success.
Wow.
And so the interesting thing was the revival during the first week of August had what they call a rock concert atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Smoke machines billowed out, lights were flashing. Remember, we call that worship now. Yeah. And anyway, how do you say? Is that
what is that? Athey?
Athey Creek.
Yeah.
Christian Fellowship. All right, that's Brett Metter.
Okay.
Actually, he's got ties to Southern Oregon.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, great turnout, quite successful, and hopefully the city feels it.
Yeah.
You know, good stuff. All right, I'm pretty uptight about this proposed special session coming up.
Rightly so.
And we find out now that the 6 cents a gallon may not really be true. It could be 12 to 40 cents.
What?
It's how it's worded. Can you believe this?
Yeah, totally. Yes.
Now, folks, we are going to fund an agency that's account for what they do have, and they want more. So I'm going to have Commissioner Colleen Roberts in with me today because she's rallying the troops here in Southern Oregon. We have to oppose this. Now, folks, I know you're busy, and I'm busy. But you're going to have to sit down and send emails to your I would say you send emails to every legislator and the governor and say no more taxes. Call for an audit of ODOT first. But if they pass this, I can't tell you the damage this will do economically to our state. It'll kill it. And it'll kill. You talk about middle class. People will not be able to afford to buy anything. They're going to be barely able to live from paycheck to paycheck just to buy food. Because ultimately this shows up on the shelf of everything. So it has to be stopped. We'll talk to Commissioner Roberts about that a little bit later on. All right, now, have you been to Chick-fil-A?
No, why?
Well, have you ever been?
I have. Oh, sure. I've been to Chick-fil-A plenty, but not lately.
Well, we have 2 of them here.
Right. Well, now we do, yeah.
And the owners here are really great people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they are refreshing their menu for the fall, and it comes out next week on August 18th. Okay, it's a fall menu.
What does it mean?
And I don't normally do this, but it's kind of fun. Okay. They are going to introduce the flavor is called the Cherry Berry, which has been served in the chain before, but now has a little bit of a Chick-fil-A first ever seasonal soda twist to it. The Cherry Berry and Sprite will be the new.
Really?
Yes. There it is. You know what? The only reason I bring this up because it's hot outside, and that sounds very refreshing.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
And they got another one coming out. It's the Pretzel Cheddar Club Sandwich.
Oh, is that what we're seeing in the front there?
Yeah. That's kind of like a pretzel bun.
Yeah, that's an interesting bun, yeah.
With chicken.
Okay.
Okay. Now, their commercials on TV are anything but fast food. People sitting on a couch talking about food.
Right.
With a funny little sound in the back.
Yeah.
But I have to say that the Cherry Berry Sprite sounds good, and the flavor combination will also be found in lemonade, frosted lemonade, and Sunjoy. So that's coming out on the 18th. It just sounds, the Cherry Berry with Sprite to me sounds refreshing.
Eat more chicken. I love Chick-fil-A. Okay, well, we continue the redistricting fights, don't we?
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness. Well, on Newsmax's Wake Up America, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stent reacted to the redistricting fight between Democrats and Republicans, and he expressed his support for Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
You know, we had a redistricting last year, and it went through the process. This is kind of how this thing works. It goes to the legislature. There's usually independent folks that kind of look at those maps. The reason you have to redistrict, just so Americans know, is that if you have population growth, and if it's moving to the suburbs, you have to redraw those maps periodically, and that's what it is. I think it's every decade or so, depending on the state. And so they have to redraw those. It goes to the legislature. The governor has to sign off on it. This is a duly a processed will of the people that are in the state legislature today and elected by the governor. And for one party to take their ball and go home and try to avoid accountability or the actual process is just really disappointing. And I think Americans, that's why Americans are so frustrated with politics, is because they see this stuff happening and they're not doing their job. And that's, I think, what Governor Abbott's trying to make sure that we get done. It's just disappointing. They're not getting their way. They're trying to take their ball and go home. They're hiding out in other states. They better not come to Oklahoma, or I'll help Governor Abbott bring them back to Austin, to their capital. But I want to hear the calling of the pigs, and I'll give you a little Boomer Sooner and some Go Pokes.
Well, you know, the inventors of gerrymandering are now offended by the fact they're being gerrymandered.
Oh, Yes.
And that's what this is all about. It's common in every state. I think what Governor Abbott could do is call a session, close a session, call a session, close a session.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like what Governor Kotek wants to do, is call a one-day session to pass a bill.
Right.
So he could, I don't know what all the protocols law and the statutes are there in Texas. I think if they miss 7 of them or 7 sessions, and I don't know if they're independent or 7 days, I don't know what it is, but if they miss 7, they're out.
Yeah.
It's unexcused absence, they're done.
Isn't it interesting, though, the difference between Texas Democrats and Oregon Republicans? Texas Democrats are fighting. Oregon Republicans are caving.
Yeah.
Because you have Oregon Republicans who are working to make sure there is a quorum for the special session.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Look, this is, every state goes through this, and the Democrats are just upset that they're losing the very thing that they invented.
Yeah.
Well, reapportionment I shouldn't say the D's invented it. Reapportionment, every time they do the census, you're supposed to take a look at the districts and reapportion how they're being represented, okay? Yeah. Well, it's become political like anything else. And look at Illinois. It looks like a bunch of snakes running around up there.
Yes.
Okay, look at Oregon.
Right.
Reached out and got Ben.
Yes.
It's crazy. So it's just, I don't know. You know, they're just crybabies because that's all they are.
Okay.
Because this time they're losing.
Yeah.
Well, have a nice day. You know what? Wouldn't it be interesting that they went to Illinois and New York?
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen because those are blue states. But if they had gone to a red state, could the governor expedite them?
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder.
Arrest them and expedite.
Wouldn't that? Oh, golly.
Maybe you ought to send them to D.C. and then they get picked up anyway. We'll be right back.
At Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, we salute you. Military Mondays are here. Active duty military guard, reserve, and retired military members get 50% off their ticket price every Monday of the season. It's our way of saying thank you for your service. But heads up, this offer is only valid on Mondays. 1 discount per reservation and can't be booked online. Call to book your adventure today. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild, and we honor our heroes. Some restrictions apply. Visit hellgate.com for details.
Grange Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
At Kelly's Automotive Service,
being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us
is at the core of our business.
We believe what we do matters.
Every interaction, every transaction is another opportunity
to bring Christ's values into the marketplace.
If you're a technician who wants to be part of something bigger,
or just looking for a new shop to bring your vehicle,
we would love to meet you.
We're Kelly's Automotive Service,
where we service your vehicle,
but take care of you.
All right, good morning to you. 25 minutes before the hour, let's check in with CBN News Watch and get caught up on wars and rumors of wars.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch on this Tuesday, August 12th. I'm Ephraim Graham. We're going to begin this half hour with news from the Middle East. Israel is pressing military and political pressure on Hamas in the final stages of its war in Gaza, and the country has strong support from Washington. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the campaign is nearing its end, and this all comes as there is international outrage over the death of a journalist, and anti-Semitic violence is surging abroad. CBN's Paul Petit brings us more now on our story from Jerusalem.
With Israel's planned takeover of Gaza City, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the war is nearing its end.
Especially in these days of great victories against those who came to destroy us, as we stand before the end of the campaign and work to defeat the remainder of the Iranian Axis and free all of our captives.
With the support of President Trump, Netanyahu says he won't agree to any partial hostage deal. Trump believes more military pressure is needed to get Hamas to agree to anything. Meanwhile, Senator Lindsey Graham went on Meet the Press and says Hamas must be crushed.
Enough already. Destroy Hamas. Do to Hamas what we did to the Germans and the Japanese during World War II. Annihilate them and rebuild the Palestinian society like we did with Germany and Japan.
Israel is also dealing with international outrage over the killing of 5 journalists in an Israeli airstrike, including a prominent Al Jazeera reporter. The IDF says it has evidence he was a paid terrorist and cell leader, calling him a terrorist operating under the guise of a journalist. He's seen here taking a selfie with Hamas leaders.
Israel is stating that this was a journalist who has ties to Hamas, and we published those ties to Hamas back in October. So this is no new information for anyone. And more of the pictures and evidence that seems to be coming out shows that this journalist that had at least very strong connections to the main leaders of Hamas as well.
Meanwhile, more anti-Semitic attacks are taking place around the world. In Montreal, a Jewish Canadian father was assaulted in front of his children. He was hospitalized and the suspect arrested. Israel President Isaac Herzog spoke with the father and said, "May you have a swift recovery in body and soul from this terrible ordeal. We are with you and we are here for you. The whole Jewish people stands with you." In Jerusalem, Paul Petit, CBN News.
Chris Mitchell joins us now to continue our coverage. He's our bureau chief. So, Chris, what are Israelis saying about Benjamin Netanyahu's speech that the war is nearing its end?
Well, Ephraim, some agree with what Netanyahu is saying. Others disagree. Some actually on the right, like the finance minister Smotrich, feels like Netanyahu needs to speed up the pace of the war and not to listen to any talks right now about a ceasefire, believing that the military action will help lead to the release of many of the hostages. Others, like the Hostage Families Forum, they want to end the war entirely to get the hostages home. There is some political opposition to Netanyahu as well. Certainly most Israelis want the war to end quickly, but also want to make sure that Hamas is defeated. And that's why many people are saying it's very important to be praying for Israel right now for a successful end to the war and a return of all the hostages.
Chris, what more can you tell us about the deaths of 5 journalists in an Israeli airstrike?
Well, the IDF released documentation that they were working for Hamas. The most well-known, and you saw it there in Paul's report, Anas al-Sharif. He was the head of a terrorist cell. He was responsible for rocket attacks against Israelis and IDF troops. The IDF produced documents about Anas, and including his Hamas ID number. He was participating in training courses. There were salary documents from Hamas. And as you saw in the report, selfies with many of the Hamas leaders, including Yahya Sinwar. Journalists inside Gaza are not independent, most subject to Hamas. He was a very influential voice on Al Jazeera, and I'll just read one of his tweets that came out just after October 7th. 9 hours later on that day, and the heroes are still roaming around the country, killing and capturing. God, how great you are. And so that was this Al Jazeera reporter on October 7th.
Chris, is the Israeli public concerned about the anti-Semitic attacks we are hearing around the world?
Ephraim, they're shocked. And I think that's not just Israelis here, but Jews around the world. We saw that most recent example of that Jewish Canadian brutally assaulted in front of his children. The video, it does show him being beaten repeatedly. His kippah was thrown into the water. And as Paul said, President Herzog spoke to him, offered him comfort, and he said, we're here for you, as well as the whole Jewish people. And I think that is indicative of how people here in Israel, the president from down, consider this a shocking event And just one latest example of many around the world. For example, we were there a couple of months ago with Aliyah, many French Jews making Aliyah, coming here to Israel to start a new life. Just warning of how difficult it is for Jews in France itself, but spreading to Canada and other places around the world.
There you go. Well, let's keep an eye on that as that heats up. In the meantime, here's an eye on the weather scene over the Pacific Northwest, and that is described as hot. Well, okay.
102 to 105 today, depending on who you're getting your information from, back and down to mid-90s tomorrow, and then into the 80s. And it should stay there through most of the week into early next week. So 80s,
high pressure is slowly breaking up, but it's still out there.
So 80's not bad, right?
All right.
Well, okay. It was the very first Model T produced.
Oh, really?
And the head of the company, Henry Ford, decided that he was going to be the one that took it for an extended test drive, so he took it camping. Check this out.
On August 12, 1908, history shifted gears. The very first Model T, also known as the Tin Lizzie, rolled off the assembly line in Detroit, ushering in an era of affordable, mass-produced automobiles. But Henry Ford didn't stop at the factory. He took this groundbreaking car on its maiden test drive, a rugged hunting trip through Wisconsin and northern Michigan, proving its durability far from paved roads. This wasn't just a drive, it was a bold field test, confidently showing that the Model T could conquer the wild and everyday alike. By October 1st, 1908, the car was ready for customers, and in just days, 15,000 orders poured in. The first Model Ts sold for around $800, or the equivalent of just over $26,000 in today's dollars. But with assembly line mass production, by 1924 the price was just $290, or just over $5,000 in today's dollars. But on this day, Henry Ford took the first Model T through its paces, and the test results were a resounding success.
How about that?
Well,
I like the fact that he took it.
You couldn't stop those things.
No, the footage.
And those thin tires and that light car would go anywhere.
Anywhere.
And
now, on the heels of this, I read this morning, this is on Fox, Ford is investing $5 billion in Kentucky and Michigan as they're gearing up new plants there for the new affordable electric pickup truck production. And this vehicle, they said, is going to be about $30,000. Well, that's pretty astounding when you think that the average price of the new car these days is what, about $49,000?
Yeah.
$48,000? So they're not going overseas. They're going to build this here. And they say it's the first major alteration of the assembly line process that Henry Ford brought in since it was instilled. And they call this a three-tier tree program. And I can't wait. They're going to show diagrams on how this assembly system is going to be different than the one line where it goes down and every station puts a new piece onto it. So innovation continues, but it's going to be American built.
Okay, so Ford CEO Jim Farley said just that on Varney and Company.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, we're already the number one largest auto manufacturer in the U.S. We employ more hourly workers in the U.S. than anyone else, and we export the most. But we're announcing today, to your point, $5 billion of new investments here in Kentucky and Michigan to build a radically new vehicle for affordable EV vehicles. It's going to be a truck, be super roomy inside, faster than a turbo Mustang, and we're going to build it completely different than Henry Ford's moving assembly line. Ford is the number one truck hybrid maker in the U.S., best-selling vehicle in the U.S. for 47 years. The F-150 comes in hybrid, so almost 30% of our customers, so you're totally right.
Yeah.
But for people that just commute, and they could charge at home, they don't have to depend on chargers on the road, they only go 100 miles, 200 miles a day, and EV is actually really cheap. And they can spend that money on vacation or other things. It's not for everyone. We got Super Duties and Broncos and hybrid F-150s, but for the people who don't drive a lot, long distances, an EV can be a really good solution. But we didn't want to build this in South Korea or Japan. we had to take a completely radical approach to redesign the vehicle to make it affordable and profitable here in Kentucky.
Okay, we'll wait and see. I'm still come to Oregon and guess what? With your electric vehicle, you're going to pay a road tax.
Oh, that's right.
If you have a hybrid or a EV, you're going to pay a road tax because you're not going to the gas and paying gas.
You're not paying the gas tax.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they want more of anyway.
I hope you enjoy that.
Oh my goodness.
Have a nice day.
All right.
As we have something nice, what we won't tell you about. We're going to go get it. We'll be right back.
Wildfire season is coming. Are you ready? All it takes is one small ember to level a home. Reduce any fire hazards around your home and property to prevent an escaped fire from spreading out of control and to protect your home from an oncoming wildfire. It's called Defensible Space, and it works. Go to keeporegongreen.org to learn more.
30 seconds or less. That's the length of a soundbite in a typical news story. If you're lucky, you can't really learn much in 30 seconds. It takes time to ask questions, learn, and explore the facts to really understand. Focus Today on the Dove TV and Radio does just that. We give you an hour covering several issues and newsmakers in depth. So don't settle for quick soundbites. Get to the heart of a story and understand better. Focus Today, weekdays on the Dove TV and Radio.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
30 seconds or less. That's the length of a soundbite in a typical news story. If you're lucky, you can't really learn much in 30 seconds. It takes time to ask questions, learn, and explore the facts to really understand. Focus Today on the Dove TV and Radio does just that. We give you an hour covering several issues and newsmakers in depth. So don't settle for quick soundbites. Get to the heart of a story and understand better. Focus Today, weekdays on the Dove TV and Radio.
All right, welcome back. 12 minutes before the hour. You know, amongst all the other things being unwound, a lot of things dealing with the Green New Deal, climate change, all that slowly being unwound as the globalists are trying to, shove that down our throat, and even the scientist community now pushing back. I had Mandy Gunasakara on. She was chief of staff at the EPA. She's been an attorney that's researched all this, and she said that part of the left strategy in pushing the Green Deal or the climate change was to make it confusing but sound serious. But it was against all science. Yep. And anyway, here's what she had to say.
What the left has done is that they have purposefully confused the issues around climate change and science affiliated with that to try and scare the American public into accepting leftist policies. And, my work on this really goes back to 2015. I was working for the late and former chairman, Senator James Inhofe, at the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee. And he became infamous, or famous, if you will, because he called out the climate hoax early on, basically saying what it is. It is a scam on the American people. And President Trump has been focused on this. He understands that the left has been using this as their economic policy to the detriment of the broader U.S. economy, U.S. jobs being shipped overseas, and American consumers being burdened with higher cost for no tangible benefit. So all of this, it's very complicated. It doesn't have to be. And President Trump has been really focused, and I've been excited to be a part of really exposing the scam that it is. It really was the fear. It's using fear to get the American people to agree to policies that make life really expensive. For example, on the energy and the electricity side, the Green New Scam and the name of it, they've been integrating second-rate technologies like solar panels and windmills into electricity grids, which means in instances where Americans need energy the most, extreme weather events that have always occurred, the lights won't turn on or they won't have access to affordable fuel at the pump. And the left will tell those people, well, it's okay, you can do without. And the left often does this while flying around to these international climate conferences on their private jets and lecturing the people that they have to accept some scarcity mindset, which the truth is, we are so abundantly blessed, not just with resources, but with the wherewithal of how to use them to the benefit of the greater good.
She's one remarkable, smart person, and on top of it, but the wheels are coming off this, and they're not off yet, but it's slowly, and demonizing CO2 backfired on them. So.
Right, it did. And, you know, I think the delivery of the message is resonating with people as they observed. I was reading a little bit about Bernie Sanders. He's continuing the oligarchy tour, the anti-oligarchy tour. And they say basically people just are scratching their head as a millionaire socialist flies around in private aircraft to come to these town hall type meetings and to stir it up. And I think that as she mentioned, we see the same thing with those who are really pushing the green agenda on us. They go to the conferences in Davos and they all fly their private jets there, and it's like, obviously their actions are speaking louder than their words.
It is. It's, the hypocrisy just reeks, and I think, moreover, the science doesn't support any of this.
Right.
I've had people on the show, oh, we got 4 years, we're going to burn up.
Oh, yeah.
And that was 10 years ago.
Right.
And, I mean, come on, give me a break. And the whole thing about the fire map in Southern Oregon was an attempt to get further control of the green issue here. Look, it's control. At the end of the day, it's control.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I'm going to have Commissioner Colleen Robertson. We're going to continue to get on this proposed special session coming up in Oregon to raise your gas tax. And I'm telling you, folks, I just want to say this. Gosh, this is the one we really have to get on the phones and we have to send the emails. This one has got to be stopped.
Yeah.
And it can be stopped. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
All right.
My turn.
Oh, yeah.
No, your turn.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, dogs. I like dogs.
Well, yeah, two great combinations. How about podcasting? I mean, everything is being podcast these days. And now literally everything, because the internet's new favorite podcasters are dogs. Check this out.
What if dogs had their own podcast and it was all about them? Well, thanks to some creative editing and a bit of AI, we now have a hilarious peek into the canine perspective as two dogs sit behind microphones and spill the tea on their humans. The clips show the pups cracking jokes about things like fetch and why humans say, "Who's a good boy?" like it's a mystery. In one segment, the dogs question why humans feel the need to ask, "Do you want a treat?"
They always ask the obvious questions. Like, do you want a treat? I'm like, you think I'm sitting for fun?
And there are so many of these clips. It was crazy.
They really are good, and they're well produced. Have you seen the new AI ones where they're using kids with voices from people in Congress?
No.
Oh, they're hilarious.
Oh yeah, and these are, I saw a clip of, they're little kids.
They're little guys.
Yes.
Little people. And the little, I mean, they're like babies.
Yes, right.
And so they have these, they have one dressed up, it looks like Senator Kennedy. And it's his southern drawl.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And they have them with President Trump and others, So AI is alive and well on all your media platforms. You got to be careful here.
Yeah.
But there's nothing they can't do to lip sync dogs.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's working. I mean, it's
it is. Well, it's good that AI is being used, for some light things as well, because we hear AI and a lot of us kind of get our guard up, don't we?
Yeah, I look. I've done a couple shows on this, and the interesting, the interesting thing about this is, right now we know we're handling AI with a bit of skepticism, which I think is a good way to do it.
Okay.
And the question is, do you really trust it, and is it really telling you the truth? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have enough knowledge and command of the topic or the subject that you want AI to help you with that you can immediately identify when it's wrong?
That, you know what, that is so key.
Okay.
Yes.
Fast forward 2 generations when AI is running everything, and you've got 2 generations that doesn't have the experience. They just have AI as their source.
Right.
How dangerous is this?
That's extremely dangerous, I think.
So the other categories that people are worrying about are law.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be a problem with law. Medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Research.
Right.
How about bills in Congress?
Oh.
And research. And how about evidence going into a courtroom? I mean, this is scary.
Oh, wow.
So you got to be careful.
Wow.
All right, here's a great scripture for you today. John 14, the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give it to you as the world gives. And do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Do you have the peace of God in your heart today? The scripture says in Colossians, let the peace of Christ rule your hearts. All right, there's the heat wave out there. Look at it.
Yeah.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
At Kelly's Automotive Service,
Being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us
is at the core of our business.
We believe what we do matters.
Every interaction, every transaction is another opportunity
to bring Christ's values into the marketplace.
If you're a technician who wants to be part of something bigger,
or just looking for a new shop to bring your vehicle,
we would love to meet you.
We're Kelly's Automotive Service,
where we service your vehicle,
but take care of you.
Welcome home to the Dove, an encouraging place, an informative place, a safe network for your entire family, offering hope.
Welcome home.
The Dove's mission is to be a beacon of truth, providing authentic faith-based content to those seeking Christ and those faithful, from a who's who of respected Christian teachers.
Welcome home to the Dove.
The Dove Network, broadcasting and streaming reliable, trustworthy news, information, and talk. Featuring Mornings on the Dove, Focus Today, CBN News, and other current affairs programming to stay connected. The Dove Network, a trusted friend, enriching your faith with reliable, inspiring content and spiritual resources that will change your life forever.
Welcome home to the Dove TV, radio, and the Dove.us.
The Dove, encouraging and informative. You are welcome here.
Don't miss this. After being stripped, beaten, locked, and left to suffer, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. They chose to praise God in the middle of horrible circumstances. If we're worshiping God with resolution today, we will learn to worship God in persecution tomorrow. We need to learn how to worship God. Know this, when you come to church every Sunday, this is a rehearsal. We're learning to praise God, not just for now, but for the days coming when we will not need praise just for our own edification, but for our own protection. Praise is a weapon. You and I get to choose how we respond to persecution. We can respond in anger, or we can resolve to worship and amplify the values of God's kingdom. When the time comes, I pray that you and I will have the courage to make the right choice. And we resolve to worship even in the midst of mistreatment. God will get the glory, and victory will be ours.
Watch In Touch with Dr. Charles Stanley, Sundays at 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove, where Jerry Bilden returns.
I find my way back home.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, what he's doing, he's test driving the new work week. And so what he's doing, he's leaving Friday at 9:02.
Coming back.
And he doesn't return until Tuesday at 5:45.
What a business model that would be, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
How'd it work for you?
Well, it would work for me, but I don't know how long it would work for me.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. A lot in the news. There always is. One more day at triple digits. It backs down a little bit tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we could see temperatures all the way down into the 80s again.
Yes, indeed.
As that high pressure slowly loses its grip. But right now it's offshore and it's producing hot temperatures up and down the Pacific Northwest.
Yes, indeed.
Please be careful. Hot and dry. What's up?
Well, today is National Vinyl Record Day. And
Okay.
of course, this is there's a resurgence in this.
Yeah.
There's still vinyl records being pressed. You can go on, well, I don't know if there are many places here you can walk in. Can you buy a turntable off the shelf these days?
I don't know if you can do it off the shelf. You might be able to do it over at Best Buy or something like that. I don't see them at Costco, but I know you can get them online.
Yeah, and you can certainly get them on, obviously on Amazon. We have one of those for King and Country, the Little Drummer Boy Christmas.
Boy.
I have they pressed vinyl albums of that. I have a grandchild who loves For King and Country, and he was enthralled with the drum. They went when they were in town. All the grandbabies went.
Yeah.
He was just knocked out with it. So we decided he saw that vinyl album that I brought home, and he was just looking at it and turning it, looking at it. And I said, Pam, there's a present right there.
Yeah.
But we got to get something for him to play it on.
Yeah.
So we went and shopped for a
You got one?
turntable. Yeah, and they have them. They look very retro. Looks like something that you had on your shelves in the 60s.
Yeah.
And
we may have one in storage somewhere around here, but we used to get them, and then you'd have to backtrack them so they wouldn't whop when you hit the button on the air.
Okay. Yeah, and now that backtrack, did that hurt the album or the...
No, there was a country song within you backmasking. you backmask, and your dog came home, and your gun fired. And your truck ran. The three things, everything that went wrong in the country song, you backmasked. The truck started.
Right.
Yeah, his gun fired and his dog came home.
Okay. Well, obviously, vinyl records have not gone away. And I don't know, not everybody realizes that the vinyl record will need to be played at the corresponding speed on which it was recorded. And of course, you have options. There were 45s, 33 1/3, and 78s. And of course, that all refers to revolutions per minute. And so there were a lot of, and I think maybe that was one of the things that maybe was part of the demise of records, is that we went to tapes and then CDs, and it was all one speed, one play. Well, you didn't buy 45s and then a big one. You had to switch. Remember, you had to switch on your record player which speed you were on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Went from that. Then we went to cassettes, the 8-track.
Yeah.
And
right.
Then, or 8-track.
8-track.
Okay.
Yes.
Then we went to cassette tapes.
Yeah.
And then we came back to digital.
Yeah, and if everybody who did tapes seriously knows how to rewind a tape to get the excess tape that came out with a pencil. You get in there, you start spinning it, get it back into its cassette. So anyway, enjoy Vinyl Record Day. And a little bit more on vinyl records here in a second, but it's National Middle Child Day.
Okay.
So my only question is, what actually qualifies as a middle child? Because I'm one of 5, and I'm second. And obviously, I don't have the traits of a firstborn or
yes, you do.
Pam just said amen, brother.
Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do.
Oh, come on.
There's just enough jalapeno in you, but you also want to get along.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah.
You're a peacemaker with jalapeno, and that's a rare breed.
And you know what? It's interesting because that's why I was away. We had a little family reunion. All my brothers and sisters and spouses and my mom.
Yeah.
We all got together. And it was
mom.
interesting to have everybody in the same room again and have these dynamics play out.
Yeah. So
oh, my gosh.
You have an older brother and a younger sister.
Yeah, 2 younger sisters. I have an older brother, 2 younger sisters, and a younger brother.
Okay, but you were 3
I'm
years.
second.
Your brother 3 years than you, then 3 years to your
3 years behind
well,
me
you're
from my sister.
Yeah, you're from all definition, you would be a middle child.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But because there's siblings all the way down, the last one is like a party animal, right?
She was at one time. Yeah.
The baby comes out. Where's the party? Okay. Okay. Well, your older brother came out with a briefcase and a frown.
Oh. You know him.
Right?
You know him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you didn't come out with a briefcase, but you came out with a frown, and yet you want to get along.
You know what? It's because I learned how to run really fast when I was young because I had my older brother, and I had to get away from him because I could say just the right thing to push just the right button in him. And then I was fleeing.
Okay. You guys get along okay now?
Oh, we're best buds.
Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mom, you did a good job.
Yeah. No, he's a great guy.
Okay.
Anyway, it's National something to eat. We only have one thing to eat. It's National Julienne Fries Day.
Okay.
Cut into thin, uniform matchsticks. Julienne fries tend to be crispier and are often called shoestring fries. And the oldest written reference to the Julienne cut was way back in 1722 in France, and makes sense, Julienne fries, but of course.
Yeah, I don't, make sure they're still soft.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
don't
you
make them too crispy.
Right, you can actually hurt your teeth with some.
Yeah, otherwise they taste like noodles.
That's funny. Okay, back to vinyl records. You know, some people collect vinyl records.
Yeah.
Some of them are worth a lot of money. Obviously, it has to do with how rare they are, and the second most expensive vinyl record on that's available is worth about just over $46,000. It was a rare recording of a particular artist, and only like one or two made it. But the most expensive rare vinyl record is worth a lot more than that. It's worth $790,000 for a copy of the Beatles album, which is also known as the White Album. It was recorded in 1968, and it is the very first of that pressing, and it even has the serial number A00000001 to prove it. And for years, it was rumored that the first copy went to the late John Lennon, but it didn't. It went to his bandmate, Ringo Starr. Ringo's got it.
Ringo's got it.
Yeah.
Okay, if that ever came to auction, it'd be worth millions.
Yeah, I think so.
It'd probably up around anywhere from $3 to $5 million.
So I bet you it's still in cellophane, and and that's the thing about rare items like that and old items is you got to have original packaging and stuff. Pam got sick every time I bought a computer, an Apple computer or stuff. I always kept the box because if I was going to sell it, they're worth more if you have the original box. So I have these old computers in boxes that she's trying to get rid of.
Well, we have about, and I'm going to guess, maybe 300 to 500 of the original Dove vinyl albums in boxes.
Wow.
Of Christian organizations. And this goes clear back to some of them way back in the 60s and 70s when contemporary Christian music just came out.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, here's a guy that if he ever did anything on vinyl, it'd sell for 25 cents.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. High pressure continues to heat things up, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny with extreme heat warnings and highs in the upper 90s for Vancouver, Portland, and McMinnville, and near 101 in Wilsonville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, sunny and hot with extreme heat warnings and daytime highs near 100 in Salem and upper 90s for Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light northwest wind this afternoon. Sunny and hot again across the central Oregon high desert with a high near 100 in Prineville and mid-90s in Bend and Sun River. Continued sunny and hot in Boise, Idaho with a daytime high in the low triple digits. Patchy fog along the Oregon coast and gradual clearing to sunny to mostly sunny skies with highs in the mid-70s for Coos Bay and upper 60s to low 70s around Port Orford, upper 50s in Brookings, and low 60s in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, sunny with extreme heat warnings for the Rogue Valley and highs near 106 in Grants Pass, 105 in Medford, and near 100 in Ashland. Sunny with highs in the mid-upper 90s in the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny and hot with daytime high temperatures near 102 in Wairika, 104 in Redding, and near 100 in Chico. Sunny but not quite as hot in Sacramento with a high near 95 and a light southwest wind. Starting off cloudy across the Bay Area, then gradual clearing, becoming sunny with highs in the low 80s for Santa Rosa and Napa and upper 60s in San Francisco with the southwest wind gusting up to 26 miles per hour and a high near 87 in San Jose. A look at our Tuesday weather from Grange Co-op.
I had a beautiful shot, kind of an odd position. There it turns. There we go. That's looking out over the valley a little bit, and wow, you can see the heat haze out there. Keeps moving on us. Look at that. Yeah. I think at the next move you'll see Mount McLaughlin. I could be wrong.
It kind of looks hot around the perimeter, doesn't it?
Yeah, no.
It's going to be, though.
You can tell that's on the east side looking west by the shadow of the mountain there.
Yeah.
There we go. That's out over the valley. There you go. Stick around. We'll get something.
We'll get it right. Yeah, well, speaking of getting it right, here is Dr. David Jeremiah with some great encouragement this morning.
The peace of God acts, according to Paul, as a sentinel or a soldier who walks back and forth in the front of the door of your heart to provide security. The picture here is that our hearts and our minds are always under assault. Guilt, worries, threats, confusions, uncertainties, they all threaten our peace. And Paul says that God wants to guard our hearts and minds, and he guards our hearts with his peace when we commit ourselves to him. I like that picture of my heart and God's soldier walking back and forth in front of the door to keep all the junk out that would come in and destroy my peace. He guards our hearts in a way that goes beyond what human understanding can fathom. Philippians 4:9 tells us something even better, that while we have the peace of God guarding us from the outside, we actually have the God of peace protecting us from the inside. Verse 9 says, and the God of peace will be with you. If there's anything better than the peace of God, it has to be the God of peace. Give me a choice. Do you want the peace of God or do you want the God of peace? I'll take the latter. And the Bible says that the peace of God is guarding the outside of your heart, but the God of peace is in your heart, keeping you calm in the midst of stress.
Well, the peace of God, let it rule your heart, according to Colossians. Paul was writing there. All right, let's take a look at some of the top stories this morning, and boy, they are interesting. If you paid any attention to the headlines late yesterday, the president has decided to take federal control of Washington, D.C. This is interesting because Washington, D.C. doesn't have a governor, does have a mayor. Apparently, if you look through all of the statutes and the ordinances, it's under the control of Congress and the president. Right. So the mayor is a little upset about this, but the crime rates in Washington, D.C. is through the roof.
Yeah.
It's been going on for quite some time, and always this excuse, we're working on it. But the president decided to step in and take control, and here's what he had to say.
I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth. Much higher. This is much higher.
Isn't that amazing?
That is astounding.
And we know that people walking from one federal building to another, and there's a tunnel system in Washington, to help protect that. But outside the streets, we had a page get killed. You had people, teenage girls, beating up an elderly man and left him for dead. And so something's going on. So anyway, the president has dispatched the National Guard. 800, I understand, are being dispatched. And the pecking order of control, I don't know. Is it National Guard, Police, National Guard? I don't know. That's supposed to be announced today.
Yeah.
But as you know, Jeannie Pereiro, she's now the U.S. Attorney inside Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Is she going to become the permanent?
She is now.
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
So she went from temporary to permanent.
Okay.
And here's what she had to say.
I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle. But they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill. I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the DC Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens, and it starts today.
She wants to go after people and change the law all the way down to the age of 15. Okay, which then if they're caught, she can prosecute them.
Right.
So this is a blue-run district gone crazy, more in favor of the evil people than the good people. So the president's had enough, and he's taking it over. Now he's going to be demonized for being
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he made a good point there. He says you all know somebody who's gone through this. Let me ask you this: have you ever been robbed?
Have I ever been? Not at gunpoint. You have
twice. I've been at gunpoint twice.
Well, I can't. Well, you just have that look to you. I'd hold you up too.
There's a sucker right there. Let's go get him.
There's one.
They're looking at me saying, "What are you smiling at?"
Yeah, there's one. There's a dummy. Let's go get him. No, but I mean, I can't even imagine having a gun stuck in your nose.
Yeah,
you know.
Right. And you know what? And I think Janine. Judge, we still want to call her Judge Janine.
Yeah,
she makes good points. You know, people are tired of the soft and the lenient approach to people who are committing these crimes.
I would say this: the only thing the D's are doing is demonizing Trump. That's all they got in the way of a message. And with the closed border and actually no arrest in 90 days, and now cleaning up Washington D.C. This will be the deal breaker come midterm. The 26 midterm elections are going to hinge on safety and security.
Hey, boy, are you hitting that one on the head.
I believe it.
Oh, you're right.
This women love this stuff.
You're right.
They want to feel secure. They want their family to be secure.
Amen.
All right, one other quick thing. Adam Schiff, he's an interesting guy. He's a senator from California. His last name certainly describes his personality. He's kind of a shifty dude. Well, he's been under investigation for mortgage fraud. Well, it all stepped. Remember when he got up? We have the hard evidence, and we're going to display it, and Trump's going down. Never produced the evidence.
Right.
Never did.
Yeah.
And so now he's got another problem. It's called a whistleblower who worked inside the Democratic intelligence. He was an intelligence staffer inside the system for years, and he came forward and testified to the FBI and the DOJ. And apparently he even did it during the time the crimes were being committed, and they buried it.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, John Solomon, he's a reporter, was on Hannity last night, and here's what he had to say about the whistleblower.
This whistleblower literally sat in a meeting, he tells the FBI, where Adam Schiff authorized the leaking of classified secrets to dirty up Donald Trump and to try to build towards either a select committee in Congress or a special prosecutor. This whistleblower was a career intelligence officer. He had worked for the House Intelligence Committee, Democrat staff for a dozen years when he came forward to the FBI. He gave 4 interviews. He gave very specific information to the FBI, and nothing happened. Why? Because the Justice Department simply decided to take a pass. How many times have we sat around in the last decade and heard, we're going to get to the bottom of that classified leak, and then a few months later, we couldn't get to the bottom of that classified leak. In the case of Adam Schiff, they got to the bottom of some classified leaks, but the Justice Department chose not to act. So tonight, past attorney generals, people like Merrick Garland and Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein, who was acting on Russiagate, they've got some serious questions answered. Did they know about this Adam Schiff stuff? Why did they allow it to be passed on? And will anything happen in the current Justice Department?
So let me ask you this. If you release classified information that shouldn't be released,
right?
Is that treasonous?
I think it could be, especially if, depending on how sensitive the material is. Yeah.
Well, I got to be careful here, but Schiff He's one slimy dude.
Oh, boy.
And I don't know where this is going to. I guess we'll wait and see.
Well, it's interesting, too, because we've seen different whistleblowers have different reception, depending on what they're telling.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how this one's handled.
All right.
All right. Well, we saw the latest news. A steel plant has exploded in Clayton, Pennsylvania, leaving 2 deaths and others injured. And this AP footage shows the moment the steel plant exploded in Clayton, Pennsylvania. The explosion, as I mentioned, has left a person dead. I think there's 2 people now. And dozens were injured or trapped under the rubble, with emergency workers on site trying to rescue them. So that's pretty dramatic footage of them, of the plant blowing up. And Fox News played this clip of Clairton Mayor Richard Lattanzi speaking with CBS News about how he first heard of the explosion and its impact on their community.
I had some people text me this morning. I was at the hospital with my dad getting some tests and said, hey, my house is shook. There was a big explosion, we think, from the mill. And then on my 911 call, I saw that they called for multiple ambulances and possible, multiple injuries and so on and so forth. And like I said, when I got back, I wanted to talk to some people in the mill. Everybody's still trying to sort it out. But at the end of the day, it was a tragedy. An explosion supposedly from a reversing room between 13 and 15 battery. And some people possibly injured, maybe critically. And my heart goes out to them and their family. And I'm just so sad about this whole day. And, the mill is such a big part of Clairton. But everyone that works there, and I don't care how young or how old you are, you got to work every day to make a living for your family. You need to go home healthy. And some people are not going to see the same husband or son or somebody that's working the mill. And it's just a sad day for Clairton.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And people were buried under there for quite a while, and they got them out. Got them out alive. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back here on the Dove.
Sing about your love. I will shout it to the sky. I will tell them what you've done. When the people ask me why I live my life this way.
Big ideas grow.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
The most challenging things that happens when you're doing interviews is you interview somebody that their answer is yes, no, yes, no. Those are very, very difficult to do. And you hope it's over real soon. Then you have those that you ask a question to and they just go on and on and on. I mean, you could literally leave the set, go out and have a hamburger and come back and they're still answering the question.
Focus Today, weekdays at 8 on the Dove Radio and TV.
Hi, good morning to you. Happy, what is it? Oh, today is
Monday, Tuesday. It's Monday, Tuesday.
All right, a couple backyard stories. There's quite the Christian revival in Portland over the weekend, and I heard about it but didn't know quite what was going on. But thousands of people attended the Moda Center as Athlete Creek Christian Fellowship was the host of this this mega church. Well, I would say it is a mega church, but it ended up being a citywide revival rally, and they filled the place. Pastor Brett Vedder gave the message, and the way they went. And so they prayed for the city. They prayed for the soul of the city. They prayed that the city would be healed and come back together and get fixed. And so this is a great step in the right direction. And thousands of people turned out. They did say that the revival during the first weekend of August, which was last weekend, had a rock concert atmosphere.
How does that sit with you?
Smoke machines and bullet out.
Come on.
Stage lights flashing. We call that worship. Anyway, this is good. I know Luis Palau and the Palau organization has been there for years, and they've been doing the revivals down on the riverfront for years in the park there. So good stuff all the way around. All right, the other story is we're going to talk about this coming up a little bit, but I'm pretty high on the fact that we need to derail this special session coming up in Oregon at the end of the month to raise your gas tax. There's other taxes. You got registration fees, you got payroll tax. You add all this together, it is a business middle class killer. And the governor wants to do this because ODOT apparently has run out of money. So since when do you fund an agency that doesn't account for the dollar they already got? And the answer to their problem is to give them more without accountability. The answer is no. You shut this thing down. You let them go ahead and do the layoffs. I'm sad to say that, but you got to go through the pain of this thing. And the layoffs shouldn't be the people doing the striping and road work. They should be the higher echelon for allowing the agency to get into this mess. And you stop this nonsense because these taxes never, ever go away. It will destroy business and the economy of Oregon. And it's already on shaky ground because it didn't get through the legislature last time, so a lot of Ds don't like it. We need to shut this down, and if we can shut the fire map down, we should be able to shut this down.
Let me ask you this. We see Democrats in Texas obviously fighting Texas Governor Greg Abbott by vacating and fleeing the state. But at least they're fighting for, they may be misguided in what they're fighting for, but they're fighting. What about Oregon Republicans? What are they doing to try and shut this down? And what can they do you think?
Okay, there may be some procedural things they can do. And it has a lot to do, a special session comes under different rules. Will they accept the operating plan for the session? They could vote against it. Look, this thing is already entering shaky ground. She's trying to do it under emotional emergency procedure. Shut this thing down. And we have to do it. Anyway, don't get me off on it. I will have Commissioner Colleen Roberts in it from Jackson County. We have Jackson County, all 36 county commissioners, all 36 county Chamber of Commerces need to get a hold of their legislature, and the answer is no. No taxes on anything, no more payroll taxes, no more gas tax. Sorry, call for an audit of this agency. And I'm not running for governor. All right, now, something really fun. I don't do this very often, but let's do it. Chick-fil-A, you go there?
Oh, I love Chick-fil-A,
yeah. They have the drive-through thing worked out pretty good.
Oh, their app thing is perfect. I mean,
the app thing's perfect, and the drive-through is perfect. Except they're a little too narrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you drive a pickup truck, you're all over it.
Then I would stop with that,
But if you're driving, a bicycle, you're okay. But anyway, they're coming out with their new fall menu on August 18th, and they have some interesting things with new things that they do. Do you like the waffle potato chip that they do?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're coming out with a new cherry berry. It's a cherry berry Sprite drink. Doesn't that look refreshing?
It looks good, yeah.
That's going to be their new thing, along with a pretzel cheddar club sandwich. Why am I doing this? I have no idea. And this is like the ultimate plug.
We're not even fishing.
No, but the cherry berry Sprite thing just kind of rings. I like Sprite. I like 7-Up. So I'm one of those guys. But the cherry berry Sprite thing, put that picture back up there, Scott.
You know what I'd put Sprite in? Lemonade.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, they carry this over into lemonade and frosted
lemonade.
Way.
Okay.
And their Sunjoy drink.
All right.
So anyway, starting the 18th, Chick-fil-A. And you folks that own the Chick-fil-A here in Southern Oregon, I know you watch theDove. God bless you. Thanks for what you do. You're wonderful people, and they're great community supporters.
Yes, indeed.
All right, let's take a look at Wall Street. Boy, we're digging deep here.
That was good.
All right. Thank you, Preston over at Smart Lawn. There's another guy that's just so cool. Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Dow likes the fact that Washington, D.C. is going to get safe.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
The Dow's
Good
up
point.
300 points.
Yeah.
The Nasdaq is up 16, almost 17 points, and the S&P is up 20. I'm not sure what's driving it. Let's call it clean up D.C., make D.C. great again. That pushed gold down a little bit, 33.96. Silver down another $1, 37.76, and crude oil's down about 60 cents, $65.45 a barrel. So there you go.
Well, we got the Olympics coming up, and with a $6 billion in labor income, 90,000 full-time equivalent jobs, and $700 million in state and local tax revenues, U.S. Chief of Protocol Ambassador Monica Crowley discusses the Olympic Task Force under President Donald Trump on Fox Business's The Clayman Countdown.
Well, what a gift it is to have President Trump as president in the White House during the next several years when the United States, Cheryl, is going to host several major international events, including America's 250th birthday, the FIFA World Cup, and, of course, the 2028 Summer Olympic Games. And as he did with America 250 and with the World Cup, the president decided to create a task force made up of members of his cabinet and others that would help coordinate with either international organizations like the International Olympic Committee, the LA Olympic Committee, in the case of the Olympics, and others for these other events, to make sure that all of these events go off without a hitch, to make sure that the athletes, the fans, the observers, the commercial interests, that everybody is protected, that these will be the safest events possible, but also to ensure that the United States will reinforce its status as the world's premier location for major international events. And of course, the task force, Cheryl, is working hand in glove with the LA 28 Olympic Committee and Commission. And those commissioners were here yesterday as part of that signing. And they are working very closely with major American companies for sponsorships, for different deals. And of course, we know this happens with every Olympic Games, but this guarantees to be the biggest and the greatest and the most spectacular. So yes, we anticipate about 15 million visitors coming in for the Olympic Games. That is going to generate tremendous economic activity, both in LA, but also in California and nationwide. So we look to 2028, and this will be on the tail end of President Trump's term.
Okay, so this is going to be, by putting this task force together, this is going to be the mayor of LA's biggest headache.
Yeah.
Because they're going to come in so controlled, so ready to go.
Yeah.
And the mayor is going to try to throw every roadblock at it.
Yeah, I would think so.
But, boy, they got a lot of work to do. I mean, that end of the town has to get cleaned up fast.
Well, you know what? They've shown that they can do it. When the, for example, when the Major League All-Star game, baseball game, came to Seattle, all of a sudden all the homeless issues on the streets disappeared.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
They can do it if they want to.
Yep.
Okay. All right, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. And don't forget the berry, cherry, raspberry.
With Sprite.
With Sprite.
There you go.
We'll be right back.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
Hey, this is Ed, co-owner of Visiting Angels. To continue to serve our seniors, we need more caregivers with a heart to serve. Our mission statement is honoring the art of giving, which means we honor you, the caregiver. We know it's our people that make Visiting Angels the best in-home care provider and a great place to work. Come be our next amazing caregiver. Give us a call or apply online. At Visiting Angels, we're committed to you because we honor the art of giving.
At Rogue Hearing in Phoenix, we help you hear life again, clearly and comfortably. From expert hearing tests to custom aids and more, the team at Rogue Hearing delivers care you can trust. Rogue Hearing in Phoenix at the shops at Exit 24. Personalized hearing care right here at home.
The Dove Radio is your 24-hour source for encouragement and information. There's something for everyone. Teaching, news, and music. 3 unique stations in one. Solid Bible teaching from trusted teachers of the faith you can lean on. Charles Swindoll, Greg Laurie, Charles Stanley, Dr. David Jeremiah, and Rick Boya. Relevant news, information, and talk you can trust through these challenging times with Mornings on the Dove, Focus Today, Janet Parshall, and Focus on the Family. Plus, contemporary and classic music with a message of hope, afternoons and late nights on the Dove. Listen to the Dove Radio Network throughout Southern and Central Oregon on the Dove app and online at thedove.us, on your smart speaker, in your hand, in your car. Encouraging and informative wherever you go. The Dove Radio, something for everyone.
Hi, good morning to you. 25 minutes before the hour. Well, with all the change going on in Washington, D.C. and federalizing the police force there, things are still hot and heavy in the Middle East. So let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch on this Tuesday, August 12th. I'm Ephraim Graham. We're going to begin this half hour with news from the Middle East. Israel is pressing military and political pressure on Hamas in the final stages of its war in Gaza, and the country has strong support from Washington. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the campaign is nearing its end, and this all comes as there is international outrage over the death of a journalist, and anti-Semitic violence is surging abroad. CBN's Paul Petit brings us more now on our story from Jerusalem.
With Israel's planned takeover of Gaza City, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the war is nearing its end.
Especially in these days of great victories against those who came to destroy us, as we stand before the end of the campaign and work to defeat the remainder of the Iranian Axis and free all of our captives.
With the support of President Trump, Netanyahu says he won't agree to any partial hostage deal. Trump believes more military pressure is needed to get Hamas to agree to anything. Meanwhile, Senator Lindsey Graham went on Meet the Press and says Hamas must be crushed.
Enough already. Destroy Hamas. Do to Hamas what we did to the Germans and the Japanese during World War II. Annihilate them and rebuild the Palestinian society like we did with Germany and Japan.
Israel is also dealing with international outrage over the killing of 5 journalists in an Israeli airstrike, including a prominent Al Jazeera reporter. The IDF says it has evidence he was a paid terrorist and cell leader, calling him a terrorist operating under the guise of a journalist. He's seen here taking a selfie with Hamas leaders.
Israel is stating that this was a journalist who has ties to Hamas, and we published those ties to Hamas back in October. So this is no new information for anyone. And more of the pictures and evidence that seems to be coming out shows that this journalist that had at least very strong connections to the main leaders of Hamas as well.
Meanwhile, more anti-Semitic attacks are taking place around the world. In Montreal, a Jewish-Canadian father was assaulted in front of his children. He was hospitalized and the suspect arrested. Israel President Isaac Herzog spoke with the father and said, "May you have a swift recovery in body and soul from this terrible ordeal. We are with you and we are here for you. The whole Jewish people stands with you." In Jerusalem, Paul Petit, CBN News.
Chris Mitchell joins us now to continue our coverage. He's our bureau chief. So, Chris, what are Israelis saying about Benjamin Netanyahu's speech that the war is nearing its end?
Well, Ephraim, some agree with what Netanyahu is saying. Others disagree. Some actually on the right, like the finance minister Smotrich, feels like Netanyahu needs to speed up the pace of the war and not to listen to any talks right now about a ceasefire, believing that the military action will help lead to the release of many of the hostages. Others, like the Hostage Families Forum, they want to end the war entirely to get the hostages home. There is some political opposition to Netanyahu as well. Certainly most Israelis want the war to end quickly, but also want to make sure that Hamas is defeated. And that's why many people are saying it's very important to be praying for Israel right now for a successful end to the war and a return of all the hostages.
Chris, what more can you tell us about the deaths of 5 journalists in an Israeli airstrike?
Well, the IDF released documentation that they were working for Hamas. The most well-known, and you saw it there in Paul's report, Anas al-Sharif. He was the head of a terrorist cell. He was responsible for rocket attacks against Israelis and IDF troops. The IDF produced documents about Anas, and including his Hamas ID number. He was participating in training courses. There were salary documents from Hamas. And as you saw in the report, selfies with many of the Hamas leaders, including Yahya Sinwar. Journalists inside Gaza are not independent, most subject to Hamas. He was a very influential voice on Al Jazeera, and I'll just read one of his tweets that came out just after October 7th. 9 hours later on that day, and the heroes are still roaming around the country, killing and capturing. God, God, how great you are. And so that was this Al Jazeera reporter on October 7th.
Chris, is the Israeli public concerned about the anti-Semitic attacks we are hearing around the world?
Ephraim, they're shocked. And I think that's not just Israelis here, but Jews around the world. We saw that most recent example of that Jewish Canadian brutally assaulted in front of his children. The video, it does show him being beaten repeatedly. His kippah was thrown into the water. And as Paul said, President Herzog spoke to him, offered him comfort, and he said, we're here for you, as well as the whole Jewish people. And I think that is indicative of how people here in Israel, the president from down, consider this a shocking event. And just one latest example of many around the world. For example, we were there a couple of months ago with Aliyah, many French Jews making Aliyah, coming here to Israel to start a new life, just warning of how difficult it is for Jews in France itself, but it's spreading to Canada and other places around the world.
Yeah, it's pretty tough out there. All right, good morning to you. Let's see, what time is it? Oh, it's that time. Okay, let's take a look at the weather. That's that time for that guy.
Yeah.
A look at our weather from Grange Co-op. High pressure continues to heat things up, so today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, sunny with extreme heat warnings and highs in the upper 90s for Vancouver, Portland, and McMinnville, and near 101 in Wilsonville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley, sunny and hot with extreme heat warnings and daytime highs near 100 in Salem and upper 90s for Albany, Corvallis, and Eugene with a light northwest wind this afternoon. Sunny and hot again across the central Oregon high desert with a high near 100 in Prineville and mid-90s in Bend and Sun River. Continued sunny and hot in Boise, Idaho with a daytime high in the low triple digits. Patchy fog along the Oregon coast, then gradual clearing to sunny to mostly sunny skies with highs in the mid-70s for Coos Bay and upper 60s to low 70s around Port Orford, upper 50s in Brookings, and low 60s in Crescent City, California. In southern Oregon, sunny with extreme heat warnings for the Rogue Valley and highs near 106 in Grants Pass, 105 in Medford and near 100 in Ashland, sunny with highs in the mid-upper 90s in the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny and hot with daytime high temperatures near 102 in Wairika, 104 in Redding and near 100 in Chico. Sunny but not quite as hot in Sacramento with a high near 95 and a light southwest wind. Starting off cloudy across the Bay Area, then gradual clearing, becoming sunny with highs in the low 80s for Santa Rosa and Napa and upper 60s in San Francisco with the southwest wind gusting up to 26 miles per hour and a high near 87 in San Jose. A look at our Tuesday weather from Grange Co-op.
And there's the Grange Co-op picture from the top of Mount Ashland. Beautiful shot out over the valley. I will say this, as hot as it is, it's been clearer than I thought it would be, even though we have a little bit of a heat haze.
Yeah.
So be careful out there, hot and dry. Leave some cold water out for your pets, okay?
Yeah, and we've been pretty fortunate smoke-wise so far this year, so I'll be quiet and not try and turn the winds around.
Okay.
But, anyway, it was the first Model T produced, and the head of the company, you know, you think people would line up and say, hey, I'll test drive that Model T, but no. Henry Ford test drove the very first one produced, and he did it for an extended drive on this day in history.
On August 12, 1908, history shifted gears. The very first Model T, also known as the Tin Lizzie, rolled off the assembly line in Detroit, ushering in an era of affordable, mass-produced automobiles. But Henry Ford didn't stop at the factory. He took this groundbreaking car on its maiden test drive, a rugged hunting trip through Wisconsin and northern Michigan, proving its durability far from paved roads. This wasn't just a drive, it was a bold field test, confidently showing that the Model T could conquer the wild and everyday alike. By October 1st, 1908, the car was ready for customers, and in just days, 15,000 orders poured in. The first Model Ts sold for around $800, or the equivalent of just over $26,000 in today's dollars, but with assembly line mass production, by 1924 the price was just $290, or just over $5,000 in today's dollars. But on this day, Henry Ford took the first Model T through its paces, and the test results were a resounding success.
Yeah, you couldn't stop them.
No.
They were like the original SUV.
Yeah.
They had 3 pedals.
Yes, those narrow little tires.
They went everywhere. You couldn't get them stuck.
Right.
And they were light enough, you could almost push them out of anything.
And you know, that's one of his goals for the test drive. He wanted to show that, hey, you take these off the beaten path and you can get home again.
Well,
and he
my
did.
brother restored one.
Oh, okay.
But we never put the body on it.
Oh.
It was just the frame with the front fenders, and we sat on the gas tank. And it had the gas was here on the gas and the mixture was kind of on the steering wheel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you had to find the right, so you get the engine to run right.
Uh-huh.
We took off, and it's amazing we didn't kill ourselves.
Sitting on the gas tank.
I
bet you didn't have seatbelts on that gas tank.
Of course not. And we put a flatbed on the back. We just put some wood out there we could sit on it. But I don't mind telling you the rest of the story because I lived through it.
Okay.
We went down the road, I don't know how far, we lived in the country, and you went out, we called them the back roads.
Yeah.
And we got to this pomegranate bush of a person down on the river that we all knew.
Uh-huh.
And we raided the pomegranate tree. We stole all the pomegranates on it and put it in bags. We thought it was cool. Okay?
Yeah, I bet you did.
Okay, we came back, and when you pop them open, you ever eat a pomegranate?
Yes.
And they're really good.
Yeah.
But there's only one Model T in the area doing this, and they saw who it was.
Oh, no.
So about 5:30 at night, here comes the owner of the pomegranate tree down the driveway at my folks' house.
Uh-huh.
And he kind of laughed. He was a good sport about it. And my dad handed all the pomegranates back to him. That was just one incident. I won't tell you the rest of them. All right, speaking of Ford.
And the assembly line
And
process.
the assembly line, it could be a way of the past.
Yes.
Ford CEO Jim Farley is talking about, he was on Fox Business with Barney and Company, and he's talking about the future assembly line of Ford, and here's what he had to say.
Well, we're already the #1 largest auto manufacturer in the U.S. We employ more hourly workers in the U.S. than anyone else, and we export the most. But we're announcing today, to your point, $5 billion of new investments here in Kentucky and Michigan to build a radically new vehicle for affordable EV vehicles. It's going to be a truck, be super roomy inside, faster than a turbo Mustang, and we're going to build it completely different than Henry Ford's moving assembly line. Ford is the #1 truck hybrid maker in the U.S., best-selling vehicle in the U.S. for 47 years. The F-150 comes in hybrid, it's almost 30% of our customers, so you're totally right.
Yeah.
But for people that just commute, and they could charge at home, they don't have to depend on chargers on the road, they only go 100 miles, 200 miles a day, and EV is actually really cheap. And they can spend that money on vacation or other things. It's not for everyone. We got Super Duties and Broncos and hybrid F-150s, but for the people who don't drive a lot, long distances, an EV can be a really good solution. But we didn't want to build this in South Korea or Japan. We had to take a completely radical approach to redesign the vehicle to make it affordable and profitable here in Kentucky.
Well, there you go. Excuse me. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
By the way, get your EV, come to Oregon, and we're going to charge you to drive on our roads.
Oh, yeah, there's an inconvenient truth.
There you go.
Yeah.
An inconvenient. We're going to take an inconvenient. Hold on. It's a cherry berry Sprite drink from Chick-fil-A, followed by a pretzel cheddar club sandwich.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Your
property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Go where the wild runs deep. At Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, you feel the power of the mighty Rogue River as you take in the sights and sounds of nature, journey through Hellgate Canyon, and adventure through the breathtaking wilderness. Enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, and end your adventure with our exciting jetboat spins. It's a memory in the making with family and friends. Book your adventure at Hellgate.com. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why McKelly's is automotive service with a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond, but that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Experience evangelism like never before. Way of the Master, an award-winning reality TV show tackling hard questions and bold street witnessing that will leave you inspired. Watch Thursdays and Fridays on theDove TV.
All right, good morning to you. 9 minutes before the hour. Well, you know, the elite running around, the globalist elite running around their jets in Davos having their big meetings telling us that, trying to sell us fear that the Earth's going to burn up in 2 years.
They're going to tell us how we should be living.
Yeah. Well, anyway, all that hypocrisy. Bottom line is the science isn't supporting this, and the wheels are coming off the argument. And the more they demonize CO2, the stupider it gets. And so the point being is we're not talking about conservation here. That's a different subject. But when you have extreme environmentalism that goes all the way to the Green New Deal and the global warming, I've had people in here saying we had 4 years that we're going to burn up.
Oh, yeah.
That was 10 years ago. Anyway, I had Mandy Gunasakara on. Now, that's an interesting name. But she formerly was the chief of staff at the EPA. Now, she's been involved in this argument for a long time. And she's talking about with the new EPA, Zeldin, who's the new EPA director, he's unwinding it like crazy. Of course, at the left's chagrin. It's not holding together very well. But anyway, here's what she had to say.
You know, a few weeks ago, Administrator Lee Zeldin, who is the current head of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, he announced he's getting rid of something called the endangerment finding. Now, the left and their activist scientists will tell you that this is going to undermine the scientific integrity and create all sorts of future climate catastrophes. That's simply not true. What he's actually rooting out is what you just pointed out, the effects of manipulated science and the fact that you have to have people in positions of scientific consequence more aligned with activist goals than seeking out the truth and understanding and being willing to come up with a hypothesis, and test it again and again, which is how the scientific process should actually work. But you had politics take over, you had conflicts of interest, all sorts of monetary incentives that really skewed this activist bunch to try and propel climate change to the top of the list so that they could remain important and they could remain funded. And it really was to the detriment of getting to the truth of understanding how our climate works over many, many years and all sorts of different data and details. There were a small group of people who saw it as an opportunity to be really relevant. They wanted to be the headline makers. And so there's a group of people, and, you know, honestly, this goes back to Al Gore. He was one of the original green profiteers, as I think he was aptly characterized, where he saw an opportunity to use climate change to justify what would be otherwise bad business investments. And he thought, well, if I can scare the American public into accepting these policies, that will shore up these investments that I've made. And he had a whole group of scientists, especially at the United Nations. I've been to some of these climate conferences where they wanted to be very relevant and they wanted to have jurisdictional relevance. It's a bit of a technical term, but it just means that you're important in certain circles, especially in places like Washington, D.C. or these UN conferences. So I really think it was self-motivation, and they saw CO2 as an avenue to coalesce behind and really formulate their goal of pushing out propaganda, which would solidify their superiority, if you will, in the scientific space, keep the funding coming, and then shore up these leftist policies that allow them to control the levers of society and the levers of the economy.
Okay, so when the endangerment findings portion of the EPA is now being shut down, what they're discovering in there, according to her, is billions. We're talking billions and billions of dollars that was funneled through the EPA that went to crazy places that ended up in NGOs, non-government organizations,
there you go.
which were nothing more than kickbacks.
Right.
Okay, and I'm trying to think of the gal that in Georgia that ran for office and lost, and she got $20 billion.
Was it Stacey Abrams?
Stacey Abrams.
Okay, all right.
She got all this money to go out and advance, more efficient appliances and things like that.
Oh, yes.
Well, at the end of the day, it was money laundering. And she said they have been caught red-handed laundering money. That's in addition to all of the stuff that they did in quite frankly, discrediting good science. The thing is a scam.
She had a great term there. She called
profiteering?
Al Gore, a green profiteer.
Yeah, green profiteer.
Hang on to that one.
Green profiteer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm a Sprite profiteer. I'm a cherry berry Sprite profiteer. Okay.
To go.
All right. We got some great guests coming up. Jeffrey Gilson will be with me coming up in just a few moments. Oh, we're out of time.
Yeah, we're done.
How'd that happen?
Yeah.
What a nice day.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage. Be wildfire ready by being insurance ready. Visit dfr.oregon.gov/prepare now to learn how.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828. Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Albert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your window seal, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
How can Christian parents train their kids to know and follow God's design for sexuality in a culture that increasingly rejects it?
Join us as we uncover the damaging misinformation being fed to your children on sexuality and gender identity, and learn effective strategies for grounding them in biblical truth with confidence and grace.
Join me for the John Ankerberg Show weekdays at 4 o'clock right here on the Dove TV. It'll be encouraging and informative.
You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for Southern Oregon and the Rogue Valley. Seen on KDOV 18, KDSO 24, and these Dove TV affiliates.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And of course, the whole world's going to be on tilt as we move towards Friday as going to be the big summit in Alaska where President Trump meets with President Putin. And so a lot to be said about that and a lot of work going on behind the scene that we know nothing about in preparing both these leaders. I am so honored to have with us today Jeffrey Gilson. He's a retired lawyer, development consultant, political strategist, and speechwriter. He began his career crafting speeches for Margaret Thatcher and spent decades of front row access to senior UK and US officials, serving as a key operative for the British Conservative Party. He's the author of Maggie's Hammer, and there's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen there. Maggie's Hammer. It's a gripping expose revealing a decade-long trail of money laundering, arms deals, and political collusion, linking global power players. So this is a must-read, and you can check that out. And there he does have a website, which is the book, maggieshammer.com. Check that out. Mr. Gilson, good to see you, friend. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. And good morning to you, Perry. Thank you for having me on. I'm bound to say before we get to the summit, I was paying attention to your last section and the expression green profits. Back in my day, we had a green finger. We never had any profits, so I found that rather amusing. Yeah. But I'm delighted to be with you this morning.
Yeah, a green profit. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, thanks for your time. Where are you? Where are we Skyping you in from?
My parents are in fact American. I was born on a United States Air Force base in London, and so I spent my first few decades there. And I've never managed to shake the accent. So people say, "Wow, South Carolina accent's not what I expected." No, it isn't.
Well, it makes it delightful. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Well, the big Alaska summit. What's your take?
Well, I'll tell you, Perry. The primary word here is a word that, unless you can remember, Henry Kissinger has gone a bit out of fashion. Is realpolitik. This summit is going to be fairly ugly in terms of its outcome for humanity, in terms of human terms. It's going to be about realpolitik. It's going to be billed as a summit about Ukraine. It's actually not about Ukraine, not primarily. It is about Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump resetting the business deal between America and Russia, and particularly for both of them personally, whether it's legitimate business interests or some more illicit business interests, which is what I raise in the book, Maggie's Hammer, is some of the illicit activity financially has been going on in the world since the 80s, and how that influences things. But the primary thing is this is going to be a business reset for both the Russia and the United States, which is an unfortunate thing to say, because the Ukraine is a human tragedy. I think whatever your politics on this, it is a human tragedy. But I think, to be perfectly honest, Donald Trump actually doesn't care too much about Europe anymore, or Ukraine. It doesn't factor into his business calculations for the world. And Putin was looking to gain a quick victory in 14 days, where, in keeping with normal practice, Russia invades a country, it's bad, it's over in 14 days, they get smacked on the hand, and a few years later it's forgotten. This has dragged on for 3 years. Putin is looking for a way out, and that's what I think Friday is all about. Finding a way out that causes as little damage to Putin and Trump as possible and allows them to do business again.
Is it possible this ends up like Gorbachev and Reagan? They just kind of blow up and walk away for a while?
I've thought about that, and I don't think so. What is going to be interesting is not paying any attention to the headlines, not paying any attention to the statements made at the end, but is to pay attention to little things that happen during the summit itself and what happens afterwards. The first thing to notice is that Putin is coming to Alaska. I don't know how many other people have mentioned this, but that is huge. Putin doesn't like leaving Russia because he is under international warrant from the ICC. The only reason he feels safe coming to Alaska is I'm pretty sure that privately Trump has made it very clear he will not be arrested. But Putin is having to come onto American soil. That is huge. You're looking for little nuances to tell who has the upper hand. Very clearly in Trump's first administration, for whatever reason, Putin had that upper hand over Trump. I think that Putin had some kind of information over Trump. I'm not sure it was the rubbish that was in the Steele dossier, but I think he had something. This time around, Trump has nothing to lose. He's in his second term. If there's any bad information that Putin thinks he's going to hold over Trump, Trump is going to shrug and say, I don't care. It's my second term. I don't care. So I think that Trump has slightly the upper hand over Putin, which means that if Putin is coming to American soil, he wants something, and he knows he's going to get it by talking to Trump privately. And so I don't think I don't think this is a setup for a replay of the Vance Zelensky outburst in the Oval Office. No, I think they're going to come to some sort of understanding and arrangement.
In the meantime, President Trump is saying to people who buy oil from Russia, we're going to increase the tariffs. I mean, at the end of the day, it looks like President Trump has economic control over Russia, or is that stretching it?
I think control is too strong a word. Let's just take a step back for a moment. The key thing to understand about Trump, whether you support him or not, is he is about improving the climate for business and America. Whether that is improving manufacturing industry at home, imposing tariffs abroad, he is about improving the climate for business. So just to stand to one side, for instance, and look at the Middle East, as awful as is the plight of the Palestinian Arabs in Gaza, I can't find any other way to put this. He doesn't really care. What Trump wants at the end of the day is a Middle East economic community in which Crown Prince Mohammed of Saudi Arabia is ruling the roost. Iran is involved somewhat to the side, even though it may not sign peace agreements with states like Israel. And Arab money will be matched to Israeli technological superiority and supremacy. And there will be a Middle East economic community with which America can happily do business, and with which the Trump Organization and Don Jr. and Eric can do business. I think you have to look at Russia and Ukraine in much the same way. Now, Trump has already got out of Ukraine in a business sense what he wants. He got the mineral agreement. There may be opportunity for rebuilding Ukraine, but what he really wants to do is he wants to start doing business with Russia again. And after 2022, the economic sanctions caused hundreds of American companies to leave Moscow. Big companies like Starbucks and Coca-Cola and Nike. And Trump wants to be back in Moscow doing business. Putin has made a good show of not being impacted by the sanctions. Well, he lives in a big palace in Moscow. He isn't impacted. Ordinary people are. He has cut some deals with India. He's cut some deals with China. But Putin knows that deep down, he wants Americans back in Moscow doing business. So I don't think this is an end game for him, but he wouldn't be turning up on American soil if he didn't want to be in a position to do business again. And that means getting Ukraine out of the way.
Okay. Boy, this is fascinating. So it's possible that opening the business door back in Moscow becomes a greater incentive than gaining land from Ukraine?
Putin is walking a tightrope. Putin expected to get to Kiev, this is the understanding, within 14 days. Get into Kiev, take over the government, and the rest of the country falls in step. The Ukrainians are a wonderful, wonderful people. I'm descended on my mother's side from Czechoslovakians, And ornery is the best word to describe them. Eastern Europeans are ornery, and they don't like their countries being invaded. And if they can, they put up a fight. And Putin failed to gain Ukraine within 14 days. Putin exists in power because the military allows him to be there. That's always true of pretty much any Russian leader. And he was on a tightrope when he didn't succeed in gaining Ukraine quickly. Your viewers may remember a year or so ago an organization called the Wagner Group, a Russian private military contractor, which tried to dislodge Putin, failed, but it got very close to succeeding. Putin's on a tightrope. He cannot completely give up on Ukraine. He is going to look to want to keep some land. And again, if you're looking to see who is the upper hand after this summit, whether it's Trump or Putin, here's a guide. If Putin is allowed to keep the land that he's on at the moment, no more, Trump won. If he's allowed to gain a little bit more land from Ukraine, Putin won. I suspect Trump has the upper hand. I suspect the deal that you will see coming out eventually, even if it's not announced this week, out of this summit will be Russia keeps the land it's on. It gets to keep Crimea. There'll be some formula of words where it doesn't actually become a part of Russia quite yet. There'll be referendums and so on, but essentially they stay put. Ukraine gets to keep the rest of the land. Ukraine will remain neutral and will not be allowed to join the European Union or NATO. And Europe, not America, Europe will have to guarantee its security going forward. That's pretty much what I think you will see. And if that deal is struck, and I believe it will be, then the door is open to do business again.
Okay. Boy, you're making a lot of sense here. So you don't think at the end of the day Ukraine gets into the EU or Ukraine gets into NATO. Could we or could it be considered that the military action by Russia in the Ukraine was a failure?
Let's put it like this. Let's go through this. First of all, as far as Russia is concerned, if Russia doesn't have to give up large tracts of land, the military in Russia at the moment will regard that as a success. They were expecting to gain all of Ukraine, but that's already been absorbed. The Wagner Group tried to dislodge him because of the so-called failure. It failed. So the new calculation, and these calculations change the whole time. There were peace talks in March of 22, shortly after the invasion, and land swap was on the agenda then. But that's now been left behind. If Russia can get away, if Putin can get away with pretty much keeping the land that it's got in Ukraine, it will be regarded as a success. The problem is, as far as Ukraine is concerned, and it is a tragedy. We're talking about people. I mean, when we say Russia gets to keep the land, there are native Ukrainians who do not speak Russian, who are in those areas, who will either be entrapped in those areas or will have to move out. That's a horrible human tragedy. Think of the hurricane and the dislodging it caused in North Carolina and South Carolina. I do not dismiss or minimize that, but we're talking realpolitik. We're not talking about social justice. So for them, it will be a failure. But Ukraine managed to withstand an invasion. It will get away with more than 3/4 of its land. In terms of realpolitik, that's a success. There are too many Europeans and Americans who are saying Russia should not be rewarded. There is a long, hundreds of years long history of Ukraine, Europe, and Russia. I'm not sure we'll have time to get into that today. But if you set what happened between Russia and Ukraine in the last few years in the context of that, it's more understandable. If you simply take the view and you only go back a few years and say Russia should not be rewarded, then this war will continue. And my understanding of the military situation right now is Ukraine is running out of resources. If the war continues, Russia will defeat Ukraine by Christmas. So if they can cut a deal now, it's a success, even though it's a tragedy.
Gosh, I want to get you back, Jeff. We're running out of time here. So what do you think Ukraine and Zelensky gets out of this deal if Russia and Trump come up with some kind of an agreement?
Ukraine gets to continue being a country called Ukraine with less land. Zelensky is going to get nothing. Zelensky has proven now to be quite unpopular. And once a peace deal is struck, elections will be held in Ukraine, and I pretty much suspect either Zelensky will not stand or he will not get elected. But he will be seen in the future rather like Lech Wałęsa was seen in Poland. He will be seen ultimately as a national hero. This man was a comedian, and he stood down one of the two still great superpowers of the world. In time when the wounds have healed, emotional and physical, he will be seen as a national hero.
One other quick question. Were you surprised at the lack of sophistication of the Russian military when they invaded Ukraine?
I think that's partly why Putin came under such pressure from the Wagner Group. Although Putin and his team will spin anything they get now as a success, again, in the future, the history books will view this as a huge failure by Russia, and more than a failure, it exposed just how arcane is Russian equipment, Russian strategy, Russian tactics. This was again, going back to the last century, Russia, then the Soviet Union, invaded Hungary and invaded Czechoslovakia easily and quickly. This was neither. This will be seen by history as a massive failure by Russia.
Jeffrey, you're fascinating. Can we get you back?
You absolutely can.
Okay, where can they get your book, Maggie's Hammer?
Maggie's Hammer, if you Google Jeff Gilson, which is Geoff, and Maggie's Hammer, you will find all sorts of outlets. Amazon is one. It's published by Trine Day. And if you go to the Trine Day site, you can get it. But basically, if you Google Maggie's Hammer, there ain't too much else in the world called Maggie's Hammer. You'll find the book.
There you go. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. You're fascinating. I look forward to having you back. Thank you so much for your time today.
Barry, thank you too. I look forward to being back.
Thank you.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
It's a turbulent time. Our values are under attack and being challenged with so much coming at us every day. Focus Today with Perry Atkinson helps you sort it out to bring you hope and encouragement so you can stay alert.
But I can't find the crime. I've been doing this for 60 years.
Focus Today, every weekday, an in-depth look and conversation with experts who have a finger on the pulse of what's going on in America and the world.
Anticipating a strike by Iran.
Focusing on the day's events.
Democrats have weaponized our entire government.
Perry Atkinson asks the questions that you want to know.
What's your take today, these many years later?
It's an hour you need to strengthen your faith and stay informed on the urgent issues coming at us.
For a time such as this, Focus Today is an important hour you need to see.
Watch Focus Today weekdays on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative. See past episodes and more at thedove.us.
My wife is just out there snorkeling by herself. Never thought that she was in any kind of danger.
I felt like I had bumped into something. I was face to face with the shark. He had my whole arm in his mouth. I felt the strength of the Lord just come out from inside of me and give me the strength to fight. And I remember thinking, no, I'm not gonna die here. You are not gonna take my life.
Watch the 700 Club Wednesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back, and so delighted to have in the studio with us today Jackson County Commissioner Colleen Roberts, one of the great servants of our community in Southern Oregon, and I say that honestly and respectfully.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service. And you have stayed there and fought all the good fights, and you're staying there and fighting all the good fights. I want to say thank you. I've been on a high horse, and I just thought I'd stop and have you get on with me today. But I'm a little upset about this special session that's coming up in our state to raise not only gas taxes, but registration fees, payroll taxes. I mean, this is a jobs killer, and it is a business killer, and quite frankly, it's a middle class killer. And I know you're aware, but what's your first of all, what's your view of this proposed special session?
Well, we got talking about this and talking about the performance of Tina Kotek, in our conversation, and in our upcoming meeting tonight with the Republican Party, and how we could get involved as Republicans. Where's our place, and how can we? stop. I don't know how we can stop this or affect it. It's really in full gear. I think, in my opinion, it is really. It's really mismanagement of our governor. Yeah. This all stemmed from a lack of funding in the Oregon Department of Transportation. A year ago, when the Transportation Commission was here, and I was in that meeting, and all they could talk, it went around the room, how can we raise more money? And it was all, how can we tax, Oregonians more? And when it came my turn to speak, I said, all we hear is how we can get more money. I don't hear a balance. How can you be more efficient? How can you make cuts? How can that meet in the middle somewhere? And they looked at me, and they with kind of a deer in the headlights look, like that's a foreign language at the state level. But then in January, they did an audit and found better than $1 billion accounting error in this department. Right. And their response is this. Yeah. More money off the backs of Oregonians.
Well, it's by the way, I think it can be stopped. Let me tell you why. It didn't pass in the session. Right. And it should have passed in the session if it had the momentum, and supposedly tax-raising Democrats wanted to do it. They could have done it then, and they didn't, because it's so controversial. They know they can't go back in 26 and run for re-election with raising taxes on their resume. So if we can stop the fire map, I think we can stop this. And I think what we ought to do is bombard Salem, both in the House and the Senate, with our displeasure of this proposed way of fixing ODOT. You don't give money to an agency that can't account for the dollar it already has and misspent. I mean, it's ludicrous. And who pays for this? You pay for it at the gas pump, you pay for it in milk, you pay for it in bread, you pay for it as a small business operator, and I'm going to pay more payroll taxes?
Yeah.
And they doubled. I mean, this is absolutely ludicrous. So I would hope that we would figure out a way to take care of this.
Yeah, their information I received was the additional 1% in payroll tax will generate $226 million for the state transportation improvement fund. And that goes for, one of their problems was the cost of their projects, and a bridge that was way underestimated by millions or something. Right. Yeah, that I mean, it's poor management. We talk about a swamp that needs drained. It's Oregon, and I think if we don't not only try to stop this, but if we don't get somebody in office in this next governor's race that doesn't have some vision and ambition to drain the swamp in Oregon, it is on a trajectory under a socialized, in my opinion, socialized, unaffordable way for us to live here.
You can't do it,
and with that comes a lack of freedom.
Are we going to lose a Lithia? Are we going to lose a Columbia? Are we going to lose a Nike before we wake up? I mean, that the people are going to leave this state and take employment with it. When we have everything to offer a company to be here, beautiful and all the things that people want for good living. But the point being is, by the way, let me just say this. Tonight, if you're in the Jackson County area, your meeting's tonight at the library at 7.
Yes, it is.
So you may want to attend that meeting. She's vice chair of the Central Committee here in Southern Oregon. The only thing I can say is that this one, we really need to be heard in Salem. And I'm suggesting, Commissioner, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, a couple things. We ought to start petitions, whether the Central Committee starts one, Chamber of Commerce starts one, whatever. But everybody ought to send a letter to every legislator and the governor saying no to this and shut the session down and call for a complete audit, and especially what happened to the billion. If we don't start there, then this will happen again in another 2 years.
And to stop what they're doing till they identify the problem with what they have, see where the holes are. If there are holes, they're projecting an ample amount of money this next biennium, and we got a kicker last time, and it just doesn't make sense in every area of government, not just transportation. What they did in the water, the permit for drilling wells took a huge hit of increase in their fees, and this doesn't happen. I know on the rollout for the hybrids and EVs happens in 2027. When the governor signed the bills on the water, it happened. It was emerging. It happened that day.
Yeah.
So here's people that have contracts out there to drill wells with bad numbers. I mean, they couldn't even uphold their contracts. It's so mismanaged on every level, and it's very sad to see. But I think we better wake up and make a difference. And
well, I really hope that we respond to this, folks, because this is being done in the shadows here, and it can be stopped by the fact that we just bombard it. You know, I remember when the fire map came out and people showed up at these town hall meetings and just absolutely, to the point where even Senator Golden had to vote against his own bill. But the residual damage of that caused the insurance agency to come up with its own map, and people are still losing their insurance. They're saying they're not, they are, and their rates are going through the roof. The point to this one is they floated a tobacco tax. They floated dipping into the rainy day fund. They floated all kinds of ideas, and then what do? They come back to this, and it's tax increase across the board. Vehicle registration, gas, payroll. Do you realize, and I know you do, but does the average person realize this will, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, your cost of living just went up dramatically because it does show up on the shelf of products.
And when they talk about making cuts, you know where they're going to cut? The people that plow the mountain snow to keep our roadways open. You know, it's like
it has
here
to
will
be kind of
hurt you
tired.
more.
Yeah,
it's so sad and it's unreasonable. And if we could get, if you draft me a letter, I'll bring it to the meeting tonight. We'll get it sent out.
Well, I'll try to my best. I mean, I've done my part, but I don't mind getting involved in more. But I just see this in all 36 counties as a killer, and I cannot believe. By the way, and I want to say this respectfully, but it's a fact. I went online just to see how our state's doing. Do you realize Oregon is somewhere between 48 and 50 in ranking in the United States? 48 to 50. You add education to that, we're 50.
Or 51, maybe.
Okay. If you add abortion to that, we're below 50. We have no restrictions. I mean, that's a social issue. But the point being is, we are on the wrong road. You cannot afford to live here, and this is going to be horrendous if we don't stop this. So, I don't know. I don't know. Have you got a feel from your other commissioners how they're thinking about this?
We'll be discussing it on Thursday. We're not having our meeting today, so and we just got the information on what actually they're going to be discussing, like you did as well. Yeah. So I think my commissioners are conservative as well as far as taxes goes, but we haven't had that specific discussion. But I will tell you, I love Oregon. I was born and raised here, and I hate to come on and be doom and gloom. I feel like there is hope, and I think we just can't. That doesn't mean you just sit and hope, but I think with us being involved, just like we did with the wildfire mapping, damage was done, but we made a change, and it wasn't the change because a few elected people got involved. It was a change because the people got involved. Exactly. And when the people get involved, I love it, and it makes a difference. So people want to get a hold of me if there's ideas out there or they want something done. I'm all ears. So
okay. Let me just say this: if you live in the Southern Oregon area, and I don't know, Liz, we broadcast throughout the state. So wherever your central committee's meeting, you may want to talk to your leadership there. to start a petition and send it up. Certainly talk to your Chamber of Commerce. This is a perfect issue for the Chamber of Commerce to stand up and fight for business, because this is a business killer. And maybe your Chamber of Commerce would do a petition, or use an individual. I certainly think use an individual. Here you are in the middle of summer, it's August, everybody's on vacation. They think, oh, well, let's just slip this under the carpet. We have got to stop this. And as far as I know, the special session is just one day. Do you know?
That's their goal.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, like I say, I'm not sure what happens at the state level. It's not my forte, but I think it could drag out, if the Republicans don't show, or if there's rules that have to be put in. I don't know.
Well, I do know that they're looking at the rules right now. I did a little research. They're trying to put the rules of the special session together, and that's where the Republicans really can show up and fight to change the rules, or don't allow for the rules to be just bulldozed in as well. But let me just say, let me put one little thing back into perspective. This should have passed at the end of session, and it didn't. Why didn't it? Because too many Democrats knew that this was going to get them voted out of office. Mm-hmm. Because they have to go home and run to their constituents that I raised the taxes on gas and payroll and vehicle registration and everything else. So if it failed in session, which it should have passed and it didn't, the whole purpose of this special session is to bring it back in the middle of summer where nobody's paying attention and to implement this increase. And that's the sneakiness of this governor, and it has to be stopped.
Well, there was a lot of sneakiness in session because they brought the transportation package right up to the end, and boom, it was hit really hard and fast, like quick, we'll get it in right here, and it didn't.
Yeah.
So.
You usually use that for education at the end.
Well, it wasn't education.
It wasn't an education. All right, if you're living in Southern Oregon and you can invest the time, 7 o'clock tonight is their Central Committee meeting at the library downtown. It would really be great if you could show up and show your support and work together with the committee to do what you can to be heard from Southern Oregon to stop this. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. I don't know when you sleep.
Thank you. Well,
by the way, I'm a little bit of braggadocious here. Our county's really doing well thanks to you guys. All of you. I think we're the best, and I say this honestly, I think we're the best. Of the 36 counties in Oregon, we're the best run.
Well, when you see the mapping that came out, and all the counties in red that are in
trouble,
financial trouble, and Jackson County, it just shined like a shining light. I said, I'm so proud that's my county.
You three commissioners and Danny George, you're running a tight ship, and you're growing the community, and you're doing a good job, and we're in the black. Yep. Praise the Lord.
We have a great team, and it's just an honor to serve with them and to serve for the people of Jackson County. And it's an honor to be a vice chair of our Republican Party. I love being in charge of warriors, so come be a warrior with us.
That's where I started. PCP, vice chair, chair, state chair, and then I got shot at too much.
We need all hands on deck. Bring your sword and your shield.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.
Looking for an all-inclusive experience? Take an unforgettable ride along the wild and scenic Rogue River with Hellgate's high-speed spins, stunning Rogue River scenery, and incredible wildlife. Then, kick back and relax with our all-you-can-eat brunch or dinner at the Hellgate River Lodge. Whether it's family fun, a weekend with friends, or a romantic trip for two, Hellgate makes it easy to turn a wild ride into a local's vacation. Book your adventure now at hellgate.com. Hellgate Jet Boat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Chris Silva understands your home and your commercial buildings are two of the largest investments most people make in a lifetime. One is for your family, the other is to support your family financially. That is why Chris Silva Painting goes the extra mile to protect both homes and commercial buildings with proper painting preparation and high-quality primers and paints. Serving Southern Oregon since 2006, this family-owned and operated business has painted over 1,000 homes. Chris Silva Painting offers an industry-leading 5-year warranty that covers materials and labor on all painting projects. Work for both residential and commercial buildings, both interior and exterior painting. Chris and his crew are courteous, they are efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCB number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960.
Okay, welcome back. Well, you probably have heard the term, especially if you've watched this program a little bit. We talk about the term apologetics. And you say, what is it? Well, believe it or not, if you're a Christian sharing your faith, you probably have been involved in it. But I am so honored today to have with us Dr. Timothy Paul Jones. He's a professor of Christian apologetics at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. He's the author of several books in the fields of apologetics and family ministry, including In Church as It Is in Heaven, How We Got the Bible, and his latest book, Understanding Christian Apologetics, 5 Methods of Defending the Faith. And there's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen there. He does have a website, timothypauljones.com. And there is a picture of the landing page, timothypauljones.com. Dr. Jones, good to see you, friend. How are you?
Oh, it's great to be with you.
Thank you. Where are you? Where are we Skyping you in from?
In Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Well, great for you to be here. All right, let's just start with the simple question. How do you define Christian apologetics?
Well, Christian apologetics is not about apologizing. And so if somebody thinks, oh, they're apologizing for their faith, that's not what it's about. It's about defending our faith. So the Greek word apologia has to do with a defense. So when we talk about Christian apologetics, we're talking about defending the Christian faith. In some sense, at a really practical level, if you're a Christian, when you do apologetics is whatever you do when you share the gospel or share God's truth and somebody says no, whatever you do next, that's apologetics, because you're defending the truth of Christianity. You're defending the truth claim that you're making, that is God's truth claim. That's what apologetics is. It's simply defending the faith.
How do you think the American Christian is doing with that?
I think most American Christians feel unequipped. And that's part of what I want to do in this book, is to help churches be better equipped to do apologetics and to teach people in apologetics. People feel under-equipped. And I'll tell you the really specific area where people feel and are under-equipped. It's that in the 90s, when I was a youth minister in the 1990s, the thing that you defended, the big thing you were defending, is the miracles of the Christian faith. And there's still a need and a time and a place for that. Don't get me wrong. There's still a time and a place for that, defending the miracles, that the resurrection really happened, that creation really happened, that the Bible is really divinely inspired. All those things still matter. But here's the difficulty right now. The main thing that people have to defend now is not so much the miracles. People's first questions about the Christian faith are at the level of morals. That is to say, what is right, what is wrong, and is Christianity even good for the world? That's the challenge we're facing now. And so a lot of people today are really struggling to defend their faith because the questions have changed. The truth hasn't changed. The truth never changes, but the questions people are asking have changed. And because of that, a lot of Christians are really struggling to know how to defend their faith effectively.
Oh, that's so well said. Let's just go back a little bit. How far back do you go to bring forward the history of Christian apologetics?
Well, I go back to the very beginning in terms of the second century. So the second century, so right after the times of the apostles, that's where we go back to, and that's what my particular chapter is on in ecclesial apologetics, is what I call that. And it's the notion that that the church itself should be part of the defense of the Christian faith. So I go all the way back to the second century and explore how Christians in ancient times defend their faith. And the reason I do that is because I think that the challenges we face today are most analogous or most similar to the challenge of the second and third centuries. And the reason is, in that time period, what people were questioning, what people were challenging wasn't the miracles, because people in the Roman world, they believed in miracles. They didn't doubt that miracles happened, that supernatural things happened. So they were questioning the miracles. They were questioning the morals, much like I've described our current day. They thought that Christian morals were strange, were weird, were out of step with reality. And so because of that, that's an important place for us to go back to understand how we ought to do apologetics today.
So dealing with the subject of morals, is that separated from natural law?
I don't think we can separate it from natural law. That is to say, when we speak of natural law, we're not simply talking about the laws of nature in the sense of what happens in the world, the ways in which the planets move and all of those things like that. That's not what we're talking about there. So let's think about natural law. What we mean by that, what you mean by that, is that there are ways that God has created the world that have to do with human flourishing. There are ways that we live or don't live that we are going to flourish or not flourish. And it's by fitting with the natural law, that is to say, the law that God has woven into creation itself that has moral implications. And because of that, we have to be able as Christians today to articulate a clear view of natural law. That is to say, homosexual practice is not going to lead to human flourishing. Attempting to change from one gender to another is not going to promote human flourishing. It's instead going to lead people to dead ends and to despair. And so it's not only that these things are right and wrong according to the law of God in his holy word, it's that these also, they either fit or don't fit with natural law. They fit or don't fit with the moral fabric of the universe itself. And so we have to be able to articulate, not only on the basis of Scripture, certainly on the basis of Scripture, but not only there, but also from creation itself, that some of these practices, some of these things that people are proclaiming simply don't fit with human flourishing and never will.
So when people are questioning the Christian faith about morals and morality, what are they looking for? I mean, obviously we have to take it back to, well, I'll call it the Big Ten, but what are they looking for outside of morality that's found or described in the Bible?
Well, I think if we're perfectly honest about it, what people are looking for at some level is justification for what they desire. So let's recognize at its most base level, what often people are looking for is they want to justify what they want. And that has always been the case. That has always been a human struggle. It has to do with our depravity as human beings. It's just helpful for us to be honest about that. But I want to dig a little bit under that reality and recognize that when they're wrestling with this question, often they are recognizing how Christianity is out of step with their desires. And that's important for us to recognize that that's a lot of what's going on is Christianity is out of step with that. And so they are throwing just negatives toward Christianity because Christianity is out of step with their desires. But even if we dig one level deeper, I think what we also know is that they know deep inside that their desires do not lead to human flourishing. They may suppress that knowledge, they may deny that knowledge, but they also know that. And what that breeds within many people is a deeper hatred of Christianity rather than them running to it. Apart from God's grace, that will always within every one of us, my soul, your soul, all of us, it will simply cause us to suppress the truth more, as Paul says in Romans chapter 1, rather than running to the truth. So often this moral challenge we have is because people are living in this paradox. they don't like the fact that Christianity doesn't fit with their own moral desires, and they realize at the same time their own moral desires don't lead to human flourishing, and in that produces within them a frustration, even an anger, even a hatred for what Christianity has to offer.
Boy, that makes total sense. Isn't part of the problem, Dr. Jones, that believers come to Christ, they accept him as their Savior, we turn around and we pat them on the back, now you're saved and you're on your way to heaven, but they haven't been taught the fundamentals of faith. They really don't know what they believe and what they have just became a part of. I've often said, do you know what you believe? Do you know why you believe it? And can you gracefully defend it? And the answer to a lot of those questions is no.
I think you're right on that. And I think what you're articulating there is something I see as very, very important. It is that apologetics is not just defending the faith to get people into the faith. We often think apologetics is about defending the faith to get people into the faith, but that's not what it's about. Apologetics is also about strengthening people in the faith they already believe. So sometimes we seem to think that once you are a Christian, you don't need apologetics anymore because you already believe. But no. After you're a Christian, you desperately need apologetics so that you can defend to others and articulate to others and be more certain and confident within yourself of what you believe about Jesus Christ.
All right, let me take a quick break here. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out Dr. Jones' book. It's called where is it here? Oh, there it is. Understanding Christian Apologetics, 5 Methods for Defending the Faith. There's a picture of the cover of the book. And Dr. Jones has his own website, timothypauljones.com. And there's the picture of the landing page. We'll be right back.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. Nah. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in. We weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn you something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford. Welcome home to the Dove, an encouraging place, an informative place, a safe network for your entire family offering hope.
Welcome home.
The Dove's mission is to be a beacon of truth, providing authentic faith-based content to those seeking Christ and those faithful, from a who's who of respected Christian teachers.
Welcome home to the Dove.
The Dove Network, broadcasting and streaming reliable, trustworthy news, information, and talk. Featuring Mornings on the Dove, Focus Today, CBN News, and other current affairs programming to stay connected. The Dove Network, a trusted friend, enriching your faith with reliable, inspiring content and spiritual resources that will change your life forever.
Welcome home to the Dove TV, radio, and the Dove.us.
The Dove, encouraging and informative. You are welcome here.
Welcome back. What an honor to have with us today Dr. Timothy Paul Jones. He's a professor of Christian apologetics there at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, author of quite a few books, but the one we're talking about today is Understanding Christian Apologetics, 5 Methods of Defending the Faith. There's a picture of the book, the cover of the book there on the screen. He also has his website, timothypauljones.com. There's a picture of his landing page. And if I have those 5 methods down correctly, Dr. Jones, as classical, evidential, presuppositional, cultural, and ecclesiastical. Is that correct?
Yes, that is exactly correct.
Okay, I guess one of the things here that's so interesting is I have Dr. Barner on quite a bit. You know, he's quite the researcher guy. He's pretty sharp at what he does. And when this subject comes up, and I'll say this too, as we program the Dove Radio and TV network, apologetics by far is the most popular topic of all the things that we run on the air. People just want to know more about how to defend the faith. But one of the things that Dr. Barner came up with, the reason that people can't defend their faith is we did away with Sunday school. They're not learning the fundamentals of the faith. How would you, and what would you recommend people do to start their journey in becoming more solid in what they believe?
That's a great question. And I think you're right that what has happened is churches with good intentions and even with good reasons, often they emphasized community and developing community more, and that's not bad. But the problem is sometimes that replaced actual training, and we need both. Both of those are needed in our churches. And so just encourage churches to think through, how are our people being trained in apologetics? How are they being trained in their knowledge of the Bible? And make sure that there are ways, whatever it looks like in your church, that you're actually doing that. But in terms of just thinking about how to do that and how Christians ought to do that and where they ought to start if they're wanting to do that, I would say the first thing I would say is, and it may seem strange, and I'm not just saying this in a flippant or cliched way, I'm saying read your Bible. Actually become familiar with your Bible, because many of the charges leveled at Christian faith are based on claims that aren't really true of the Bible. And so people make claims about that. So the best thing you can do is really, first and foremost, actually read your Bible and know your Bible really, really well. And so the first thing I'm going to tell somebody if they come to me and say, what should I read first? Your Bible. That's what you ought to read first. Dig deep in the grammar of God's word and learn that really, really well. Now, beyond that, I think that the next step a person needs to take is to be able to defend the historicity of the Gospels. Now, the whole Bible is true, and the whole Bible ought to be defended and defended well. But we recognize with Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 that if Jesus was not raised, then all of the rest of it is empty. And so you need to be able, at the very least, to be able to defend the resurrection of Jesus, the historicity, the reliability of the Gospels. I'll just toss out a couple of books to you that are good books on this. One is by Peter Williams. He's at Cambridge University, and he's written a book called Can We Trust the Gospels? An excellent book about the Gospels. I've written a book called Why Should I Trust the Bible? That begins and really focuses on the Gospels. And so I would say Scripture, then learn to defend the Gospels, and then find out what interests you and work from there. For some of you, it's going to be science. You're just really interested in science. Well, go there. Learn more about that. If it's something about history, learn more about that. But go down those pathways of natural curiosity beyond those simple foundations of know your Bible and be able to defend the Gospels. That's where we need to start in apologetics.
Do you see a purging in the American church to get back more to the purity of Scripture, the purity of the gospel?
I think we see at the same time both a sort of a pruning and also a diluting. I think what we're seeing is a big split, is what we're really seeing in a massive way. And that is, what I mean by that is we have some churches that are strongly emphasizing and rightly emphasizing things that membership really matters and things like that. And I think that's a good and beautiful thing. I think simultaneously, there are a lot of churches that are locked into a pragmatic way of thinking, that they are following that and trying to constantly become relevant in ways that actually dilute the message. So I think we see both happening in the church at the same time. And only one of those patterns in the long term is really going to lead to health. Pragmatism does not lead to ultimate health in a church. But we need to have an attitude in which membership in our church really matters. And we treat that as something that is serious, that is important. And the moral life of our church really matters. That means healthy, godly church discipline being applied, things like that. I think we're seeing that in the church, and I think that's going to continue over the next decade or so.
So it's a delicate task for a pastor to find out how to continue to preach biblical theology without spilling over into Christian psychology?
I think so, and I think that we need to distinguish between the fact of being practical and trying to be relevant. I would distinguish those. Relevance is always going to mean chasing whatever the world is doing, and that's, I think, what you're describing there, sort of this pop psychology of chasing what the world's doing in that. And there's a difference between that and being practical. And what I would challenge that pastor to do is make sure you're practical more than relevant, that what you're chasing is practicality. That is to say, a faith that can really be practiced. And here's what I'll say in that. My encouragement to pastors, read people like Augustine of Hippo from the 5th century, for example. Read some of these ancient church authors, and what you're going to find is their understanding of the human soul and the human need and the practicality of the faith. Those things in those ancient authors give us so much deeper and richer accounting of the human need and of the human soul than anything we're going to find on the popular shelves of the bookstores today. And I would just encourage pastors to go to some of those ancient authors and learn from those ancient authors, and let your soul be really drawn into those, and it will help your people, and it will help your proclamation to be truly and authentically practical, not relevant, chasing every current whim, but truly practical, able to be practiced in real life.
Okay, a couple of quick questions before we run out of time. Are you concerned about AI spilling into apologetics?
I am concerned about AI spilling into everything. I really am. And I am in the sense of what it does to our capacity to create. Well, God created us to be co-creators, sub-creators with Him. It does that. And it also, the use of it actually gives, and I've looked up some things, and it gives false information. It doesn't understand some of these things. And I've recognized pastors using AI to try to do well-intended apologetics arguments, but getting things very, very wrong. So there's a lot of different levels of it, and the fact that it's basically mass plagiarism. I think that it's a problem. In that, my encouragement is do the hard work of preaching your sermon. Don't you let AI do it for you. Good
advice. And that leads me to my last question, so to speak, and that is. I'm not even sure how to ask this question, but how do we become more sensitive, not only in our apologetics, but our everyday life, of the transcendence of God? We can become so heady that we don't rely on the miraculous of the Spirit moving in our life.
Well, one of the things that I often recognize in the ancient apologists that I find to be very fascinating, they almost always end their apology with an appeal to the justice and the ultimate end of time justice of God. They almost always end with that. They say basically, look, are you so sure that our God is the wrong God that you would be willing to face this God if you happen to be wrong about him? Face him in judgment. And I think that's something in our apologetics we need to recover, is the justice of God, the transcendence of God, but also underneath that, the goal of every apologist, what they long for, should be the vision of God, that we should long, I want to see you, God. And our apologetics should direct our heart and our mind toward not, I'm going to be right about this particular topic, but should direct us toward, God, I want to see you in your greatness, your glory, your majesty. God, I don't just want facts, I want you. And if your apologetics doesn't lead there, it's not healthy apologetics.
That is absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, the book is entitled Understanding Christian Apologetics, the 5 Methods for Defending the Faith. There's a picture of the cover of the book. Where can they get that, Professor?
You can get that Amazon.com. You can go to my website. Pretty much anywhere Christian books are sold, you can find that particular book.
Okay, TimothyPaulJones.com is the website. You're inspiring and fascinating. Can we get you back?
I'd love to come back sometime. Just let me know.
All right. Thanks for your time today. God bless you, friend.
The threat of wildfire poses a growing risk to Oregonians. You can prepare now by taking 3 important steps. Create a home inventory, make copies of important financial records, and contact your insurance company to make sure you have the right amounts and types of home insurance coverage.